Mic check. Test 2, 2. Test 1, 2, 2. Mic check. Test 1, 2. Let me say welcome, Hetipu. How you doing out there? How are things with you? I hope everything is cushy, and I hope you can hear me, at least. It's that time of day again, and it's the Peoples Talkshow. You're in tune to Heru. It's your host today. And you know the thing. And you know what to do, don't you? You know how to play the game. Now, I want to rise up management and technicians and all those that go in to make up the formidable team that we have down here in the Genesis neck of the woods. And I like to rise up all of the hard work that the Genesis members are putting in to make it the formidable and to make it the exciting and the most level-headed station, I think you could say. Everyone's jostling for position here, we know that. That's human beings. That's how human beings do things. You know, they're always jostling for position, and we can't escape that fact. And so what we do here in the Genesis neck of the woods, we try to be cordial to each other. It's the People's Talkshow, and you know the rules. Respect. We're not saying that you shouldn't have any passion with what you want to talk about, but at least you should have some mark of respect. Because today, I see there's a growing group of people that think that to progress, you have to be derogatory and horrible and foul-mouthed. There's a growing number, and I think that is because of the influences from the American Negroes over there, because they have a tendency to do, they're to me, and it's mainly the diasporan Americans over there, these little groups what they got going out there, and it seems that they're fighting against themselves out there. You've got one section of the community that thinks that being foul-mouthed and disrespectful to people is the way forward, and I don't know where they get that gutter mentality from. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think you have to be a gutter mentality in order for people to understand where you're coming from. But it seemed to be a growing group of renegades, I call them, foul-mouthed renegades, you know what I mean, with some little wayward opinions, and they're trying to force their opinion on you. You know what I mean? And they'll go all out just to try to prove that being foul-mouthed is the way forward. You know what I mean? And negative and derogatory is the way forward. And I don't agree with all of that. I don't believe that being like that you somehow get a better. One sec, folks. Think that you get a much more. Accepted by people. I think people are naturally opposed to this kind of a gutter mentality, and every second word is a foul. You might say, well, what is swearing? But you don't know what is swearing. Don't try to come with that kind of a trickery. You don't know when you're being foul-mouthed, and you don't know when you're being like no morals. Is this where we're heading? Is this the kind of thing that people trying to educate us to be barbarians? Are we not supposed to be the blacks that have, been on the first people on the face of the planet and all that kind of thing? And if we haven't progressed, it seems that we're going backwards into barbarity, or barbarism. Then put it that way. In an answer to our position today, we weren't barbarians like that. We had morals. You know what I mean? It's not wrong. And we're losing that kind of feeling today with some like a renegade blacks, I call them. Pimps and all of that kind of thing there, who have a pimping mentality, going on there, thinking that's going to be the way forward for everybody. It might be for you, but not necessarily everyone's going to gravitate around that. If you can't afford to have morals, then that's your bloody problem. But don't try to come and force it on people. That's what I feel. Somebody's a renegade, disrespectful to women, disrespectful to everybody else. They think they want to drag everything down to the gutter from whence they came. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. This gutter mentality that's coming up, this ghetto ideology, is that what our black community really wants? And this is what we're talking about. There are two things. I want to talk about the role of the women, how you view women and how women view their own self, because it's all tied up. Because I'll tell you why shortly. I find this is happening, and I want to know how wide scale this is. I know in the American community they got this ghetto foul mouth attitude.
Accept your own and be yourself. Genesis.
And they think that is the correct a way to be, the correct mannerisms to have. And when our youths are walking about with no respect for nobody at all, well, you can't blame them, because it's true, they get it from some of these little renegade blacks, renegade people, who, especially the ones who are dissatisfied with life itself, probably had a rough time growing up. Everybody's got a rough time growing up, but it doesn't mean you have to come down to some ghetto morals. You know what I mean? What kind of thing is that? So you'd like to hear your children going around, foul mouthed? Is that what we really want? You know what I mean? This is the excuse that people have today. Their reasoning is that they need to be foul-mouthed because it adds more emphasis to them. It makes them feel more important or something. You know what I mean? And I recently got involved on the social media with some foul-mouthed people. You know what I mean? And trying to tell me that that's their way, that's their influence. And I'm thinking, well, if that is your influence, if that's where you get your inspiration from, well, you're dead lost to society, bruv. And I'm glad that there are some people like us that can hold up the moral head. We don't have to be foul-mouthed. You know what I mean? And we don't know that you can't argue the point, what you call swearing. Well, you don't know what we call bad words. What do you mean? What are you talking about? You like to hear your grandson come up to you and say, hey, granddad, your P and your C's and your R. Probably you love all of that. But not everybody is of that opinion. And I want to see how many people today in our community can say they like this kind of attitude and this kind of ghetto mentality attitude that's coming across from America. When they're talking about brothers, they're not afraid to use all the P's and the C's and the R's, and they're not afraid to do that. And they use that with the idea it makes them look good, but it naturally repels from inside, isn't it? And if you find something that's naturally repelling like that, it's trying to tell you something. It's evasive. It doesn't sit pretty with people. And I want to know how much of these are here in the UK are in agreement with these rogue and vagabonds across from the sea. You know what I mean? I'm glad that I don't have to be, I weren't influenced by these ghetto people. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to be low. I don't have to be low life in order to be accepted by people. And there's a growing group of low life people now with low life attitude, low life talking. You know what I mean? Trying to make it acceptable. What's next? I mean, they're going along the same lines as trying to make transgender. I look at them in the same fashion. These so-called free thinkers, you know what I mean, or anything goes people, you know what I mean, and they are usually the ones that have mega problems, who had a kind of a pathology in their growing up. They probably hated their parents, or they don't like their parents, and stuff like that. And now they've grown up with a chip on their shoulder. You see what I mean? These ones that run down Hotep people and conscious community. I don't understand these terms in any case. Those things don't mean gel with me. Conscious community, Hoteppers and all that kind of thing. I don't look at life like that. And I wouldn't, use that term to describe anyone, because I don't need to describe anyone in using those terms. That means I'm against something. And if I'm against Hoteppers and if I'm against conscious people, well, then what kind of people am I then? You see what I'm saying to you? But then usually the ones who say that are the most foul-mouthed people. The ones that are against Hotep and against consciousness are the most foul-mouthed people that I've ever met. And I'll tell you what, if my daughter ever came home with with one of the ones that I was introduced to the other day, by somebody who's trying to rationalize filthiness, right? And if that's he guided me through this clip on YouTube with this foul-mouthed individual telling me about women don't like hotepas. To pick out two little women out of the whole band of women who have morals and respect. You see what I'm saying? So it seems that it's it's the good morals and respect vs the rogue and the vagabond. Now, we've got enough trouble already in our community to have rogues and vagabonds and demons from hell trying to come and make themselves look for something, to make something of themselves in our community, trying to influence us, which I call that's the darker side of things. These dark side people from the pits of hell, right? I come back to prove that to be disrespectful and to be immoral is the way forward for our community. And we got those people in our community, and it's just a matter of us being aware of them. Sadly, we can't eliminate them out of our community, which I wish we could. But we suppose we've got to live and let live. Obviously, it's for us to really mark out these people, and you decide whether you want to. It's a good thing we have choice, freedom of choice, and this is great that we have a freedom of choice. We don't have to be like them, but we can mark them and say, listen, you want to have a ghetto, low-life mentality. Well, you can go and have it wherever you like, but not in our community. This is what I'm saying to you. And this is what I want to see whether you're in agreement with. Do you see life in growing, this growing kind of a subculture with these kind of ghetto mentality-ites? No wonder why our youths are stabbing themselves and coming out with no morals whatsoever. I'm not surprised if that's the way our community is going to go. Oh boy, I tell you what, I'd soon find somewhere else to live on my own. Trust me on that. I don't need to be a ghettoite. I don't think that being foul-mouthed, swearing and calling the P word when you're describing women, talking about this, just describing them in such a derogatory way. Can you imagine if we all started to speak like that? What kind of den of iniquity would we create amongst ourselves? Where is the morals going? And it's from people who claim to be, in an adult stage now, have brought that nastiness over with them, and their pathology. They've got a pathology mainly. They've got a beef against their mother, and I think anyone that talks derogatory against women in that kind of a way, and then turn around and try and show that there's women that are in agreement that we shouldn't put women on a pedestal. Are you in agreement? The numbers are 07931 27 62 and the 62 and the 32. We'll bring you into the studios. That is 07931 27 62 and the 32. We'll bring it into the studios. Should we not put women, or why shouldn't we put women on a pedestal? Right, you got a lot of men, especially when I made a comment on the social media about this lady I saw, who was saying that these guys who go around talking about women are gods and all that, it shouldn't, and stop putting them on a pedestal. You know what I mean? And we should serve men like they want to be under the foot of man. So there's some women who like to be dominated by men. I understand that, and if this, at least we can go for the understanding that there are women out there that would like to do that, like to be like that, and that's what's happening. This subculture is bringing up renegades from the pits of hell with that kind of mentality and trying to force it in on our community, and now it's in direct opposition to that kind of thing. And why shouldn't we put women on a pedestal where there should be? We live in a society that disrespects women. The whole ethos of this society is to viewing women as nothing. You see what I'm saying? This is a cultural thing. This is European culture where the women is at the mercy of the man. And I don't have to be going too deep into this to know that this is the norm for this culture. And I don't have to go far to realise that. We've got this text here. Hold on, one sec. Text senders. Hold on. Let me get this thing. Oh, it's broken. Okay. The text sender says, where is Dr. X? Well, he's not here today. I'm just filling it. I was asked to sit in for Dr. X. Probably he'll come in my space next week. So, Dr. X is other things going on. So just make do with me. You know what I mean? And so, everybody's jostling and side, and they got who they like to listen to. And I might not be the one that you like to listen to. You might like to listen to other things. Just that. As it's the first Sunday of the month. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. As it's the first Sunday of the month. Again, Dr. X cannot be here. Caller, you just asked the same question again. Oops, one sec. And I'm telling you again, Dr. X cannot be here today. It's the first Sunday of the month when he usually is on, but I'm afraid you're going to have to put up with me because I'm here. I've been asked to fill in. Normally I'm on the second or the third. So you'll have him, no doubt, next week. So if you tune in next Sunday, you can have, Dr. X will be here. So, I hope that answers your question. We'll put that, hang on one sec. I hope, where are we? I hope that answers your question 930, as you've asked the same question twice. So, as we understand. So, why I'm asking this very important question, is to test the waters, to find out, to try to if people are accepting of this kind of a nature, filthy nature. And is it acceptable to you that you would don't mind your fellow man talking to you in that kind of fashion there, especially when they're describing your women? And then again, are you in agreement with women? I don't know how many women are out there that actually agrees with this idea that we shouldn't put women on a pedestal, or we shouldn't be, calling women gods. This is a subculture, because if you say you're black and African, well, you know that the African culture always put women on a pedestal, and you know that the European culture always denigrates and degrades women. You don't know that already, and that's a fact. You cannot escape that fact, and I don't think there's anyone out there that can argue otherwise, because this is where a culture where the woman loses her name, and this is where the man has a right of life and death over his children and wife. You know what I mean? So this is a cultural thing going on here, really. And I'm surprised that the black, there's a little renegade black. Yeah, we'll take call here. Go, you're live on Genesis.
Yeah, hello, Heru.
Yeah.
Well, you're speaking on a subject that I've looked deeply into, studied it, written about it, and have a wide collection of books to try and find out about the subject, and therefore have a view on what is a fact and what is not a fact, what is assumed, and perhaps... Sorry?
Yeah, go on.
And there are some, I wouldn't call them anomalies, but for those who have made their mind up, who believe what they want to believe without the ability to quote one book on the subject matter pertaining to women, their role in this society, in the Western society, society that you live. Well, put it short, as I've stated, I think I know something about this. So if anybody thinks, for argument's sake, I'm not sure if you do or anybody else, number one, we live in a gynocentric world, and we know this. So
live in a what?
Gynocentric world.
I don't know if your phone's a bit...
And we know this.
Your phone's... No, I mean, explain what you mean by that.
You don't know what gynocentrism is?
No.
Okay. It's putting women on a pedestal.
Putting women on a pedestal. So if I went to...
And we have evidences of it blatantly in our faces. It started in the 12th century in Europe by a woman named Eleanor of Aquitaine. And I can go through the whole history of it.
Hold on. Let me sorry to cut in 1 sec. No, you said it's... So you're telling me the whole concept of putting women on a pedestal started by this one person?
Well, it was codified, which it was codified by Eleanor of Aquitaine and her wealthy women. That right there should tell you, hang on a minute, wealthy women, because some people like to say white people are savages and they denigrate their women. But they have no historical reading of exactly what took place in the Middle Ages, prior or after. They do not know anything about chivalry. They do not know anything about courtly love. They don't know nothing about gynocentrism. They've never read one book from an early feminist female writer. I have 5 of the women that have written works and what they've had to say.
Well, sorry, can I just interject?
And I can probably go into the feminist reader as well. I have covered this topic.
Okay, just a sec.
I know what I'm talking about.
Just like so do I. I know what I'm talking about too. It makes 2 of us, right? Not just you. You keep emphasizing like you're the only one. But let me tell you this as well. That you still let me clear up my point. Are you saying that this woman, because I know that the African culture puts women on pedestals where they should be. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a cultural thing. So I'm saying that this European woman, this white woman that you were talking about, that invented this idea, this name, what you called, right? She didn't invent African culture. So she wasn't the one that started that. That's what I'm trying to establish.
I'm not arguing with you. Not once. Out of my mouth did I mention anything to do with Africa.
No, but I'm saying that you said that this woman started this thing, this idea.
Again.
You see?
Either you listen well, or you just don't have the ability to listen well. Either you know what I said, or you don't know.
No, I'm telling you what you said. I said you said this woman started this thing in the 18th, whatever century. You said this woman, it was started by. You said this name that you called out, this putting people on the pedestal, was started by. You said that this it was started by a woman. That's what you said. It was started by. I'm not stupid. I heard what you said, bruv. I heard what you said. Don't try to tell me what I said. Well, fine. I'm trying to get it out of you. I'm trying to ask you a simple question, bruv. Don't try to play intellectual aerobics over this point. Just listen to my point as well. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm trying to clarify. Can you clarify this or not? Well, if you listen, then you will know what I want. I'm telling you. I said to you, well, you keep having this. What I'm saying to you, it's not complicated, bruv. Right? You don't put up no verbal barrage. Well, let me finish. You don't put up no verbal barrage here. All I'm trying to clarify is your point. You said putting women on a pedestal was started by this woman you called out. And I'm saying to you, that woman being placed on pedestals long before that in Africa. That's our culture. We got respect for our women. We don't trod them down, bruv.
Let's just go with you for a minute and what you're saying. What was the question you put out to make people call in? What did you remember that?
What did you say? What did you say?
What was the question you put out? Then you gave the number for people to call in.
Well, all right, let me tell you. I said, shouldn't we put women on a pedestal? Because I buck up on a few little renegades, right? Hold on, listen. Listen, you asking me, you will give me a chance to explain, bruv. You asked me.
No, I don't want you to qualify it. I just want to...
No. I want to answer the question, bruv.
And I'm going now.
I want to answer the question. Are you going to let me answer? Are you going to let me answer the question or not?
You did. You said...
I haven't finished yet. You can't tell me that. I haven't finished yet. You can't stop me in mid-air like that, bruv. Let me finish what I'm trying to say.
You asked a question.
Yeah, but you then asked me. And I'm trying to finish it, answering you.
No, because you asked it.
No, I haven't answered it yet. I haven't answered it. You can't tell me that. You stopped me in mid-air, bruv. You can't do that. Let man finish his sentence, man. You know, you can't come in the middle of a sentence and tell me I've answered. That's a bit dictatorial, isn't it?
What was the question you asked him to call in?
You are right. I said, shouldn't we put women on a pedestal?
There you go. You've answered
Right.
it. Now, can I move on?
Well, you can.
Right. The implication of your question is that women are not on a pedestal, so you're saying, what shouldn't we put them on a pedestal? Which implies something, and I'm telling you for a long time. One, we live in a gynocentric culture. Two, this started a long time ago.
Oh, what? Go on. No. We don't live in a culture that puts women on pedestal, mate. This is an anti-woman culture. But you're a bigger idiot yourself, bruv. You can't prove nothing. Go on then. I can prove it. I can prove it to you too. I can prove it to you now myself, bruv. I can prove it to you now. Why does a woman lose their name when they get married in this country? Why are they the property? Why are women the property of the man in this country? Why?
Right. So that's what you're
Well, answer that, bruv. Yeah, well, there you are, right in your face. This is a male chauvinist country. Right? This is a male chauvinist country, bruv. Yeah, go on, carry on.
One, we have a freaking queen. Two, we have a prime minister.
She's got no power.
Oh, you're an idiot.
And you're a bigger idiot yourself, bruv. Because they ain't got no power. Don't talk about somebody that's powerless.
You're an idiot. Every day, you put on the TV, it's dominated by white females. Even women who are never kick a ball in their life. Rather than they go for the ex-black boys who used to play football and did a manager's job, they rather go for a European and give them the job. Or they'll pull a Scotland and give him the job rather than a black man. And when it comes to football, hey brother, every sport.
So why was a woman not given? Why was a woman? Why wasn't a woman? Why wasn't a woman allowed to vote until recently? Then, if it's not a woman, if it's not a male dominated, if this is not a male, listen what I'm saying, bro. If this is not a male, if this is not a male dominated society, if this is not a male dominated society, and you're wrong because you said it wasn't, why wasn't a woman given the right to vote, bruv?
That's simple. You've asked
What is it?
Stop interrupting, boy.
No, but you stop interrupting, Pickney. You chat crap. You stop interrupting too.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Well, answer it then without any other, don't come up with any rhetoric. Just answer the damn question, bro.
And telling people about who I am and how you view me, and I'm the only one this, and I'm you attack me before I even say anything.
Well, just carry on and answer the question.
And you take a bench straight away, bro.
Well, answer the question. Just carry on and say what you're saying, bro. Because you're just going into some, you know what I mean? Well, carry on. Don't interrupt me,
The question.
Go on, man. Say what you have to say. Don't swear over the radio, Reese. What's the matter with you? Stop swearing. You know what I mean? Because if you go in any route, I'll cut you off, bruv. I'm telling you. I don't cut people off, but I would definitely cut you off. I will cut you off, bruv. Listen. No, you don't come on here. Don't come on the radio and start to swear, bruv. I'm telling you. You stop your swearing, or I'll cut you off, bruv.
And then you're supposed to wait for the answer.
But you hear what I said? I'm saying to you.
Did you ever study one
well, as long as you get this thing in your head, if you start swearing again, I'm gonna cut you off, bruv.
Did you ever study for one O-level?
Did you dig? You dig that?
And I'm not talking about woodwork or metalwork. Did you actually study anything?
I said if you swear again, I'll cut you off. Okay?
Fine.
Right.
Fine.
Carry
you
on.
ask a question and you put down your standard of rules.
Right.
Fine. Okay? The question you asked, why women didn't have the vote, right? Well, it assumes that all men had the vote. And I'm telling you, all men did not have the vote. Then you have to rewind right back to Charles I and Oliver Cromwell and ask yourself, well, what did Cromwell kill the king for if he wanted to give Parliament the right to have some say? You would have thought at that time, in the 1600s, all men had the vote. But they didn't. And the only reason why men generally got the vote was because of the blunders of 1918. The war did. You know, donkeys being led, lions led by donkeys. The generals telling them to go over the top. That's the only reason. It was a blood price that the young men go. What did the women do to get the vote? What did they do? And this is the centenary of it. And you know what they're celebrating? And this is what these people don't know. When they got the vote in 1918, along with millions of working class men who never had it, and had to die in their droves in the trenches, who never had it, when they finally got it, it was women over 30 and who had property. That is what you're celebrating this year. You find no feminists right now who can admit to that.
Yeah, but you see, what, you're not even near.
Hang on a minute. Why are we celebrating some classist business?
You're not even near the point, bruv. What I want to ask you, why shouldn't we put women on a pedestal?
Well, right. Number one, I wasn't allowed to give you a historical ride through the past to show you that it's been gynocentric where we live for centuries. I can give you countless. Anyway, just be critical thinking. Look on your television. Go to the rows and look at the judges and find out. See if you can find out which one has an Indian sounding name or an Asian sounding name or an Oriental sounding name. I'm not playing your political correct nonsense. Or try and trace how many people from the Caribbean are on the various judiciary boards and so forth. And then you will look at the females. Now, secretly, they're telling you one thing, but if this, as they keep saying, the patriarchy, this is some funny patriarchy that's so bullying women, because we live in a gynocentric culture. And, of course, people don't know what that means, because no one's teaching them what it means, and so therefore they give them a one-sided Marxist view of the world. And until we have a proper sense-based, empiricist sense-based education on the radio, you're never going to see socialism for the folly it is, communism for the folly it is.
Brother, I'm asking you again. You haven't told us why we shouldn't. Why shouldn't we?
Why they are. It's a
What?
What? You're deep, bro. You're deep.
I said why you shouldn't. I asked a similar question. I said why shouldn't? Oh, but they're ready. Okay, fine. So as far
queens and empresses and all of this stuff, they're queens and empresses, and they're running around raising single families, and the boys are running around stabbing each other. These are your empresses and the queens that go and sleep around with you because you go on like your culture.
Well, women are still struggling for certain rights now today. They want equal pay, right? And they want a lot of other. Hold on, a woman can't even become a bishop. There's a lot of things that women still haven't got the right in this late 2018th, right, 21st century. Women are still struggling to gain certain rights here. So I don't see how you come that their society.
They brought laws in.
What do you mean they brought laws for what? I'm not talking about that. I'm saying women are still struggling, and you can't deny that, bruv. You cannot deny that.
Hold on. You just said women are struggling. Men are struggling. Everybody's struggling.
Yes, but they are struggling more because they got less rights than men. Women doing the same job as men. Women doing the same job as men and getting less pay than men. You know what I'm saying to you, right? And that's rife. Yeah, that's rife throughout our society. It's a known thing, unless you live in the cloud cuckoo. Let me finish first, my brother. Yo. Don't bulldoze your way through. Allow me to finish, bruv. I ain't finished yet. I allowed you. I sat there and let you talk. Let me talk, bruv. Come out of it, man. Easy, come off your high. Yo, hear what I'm saying to you. That's right. Lao man. Thank you very much. God.
You're talking about essential.
Yo, hear what I'm saying to you? All right, listen. Well, okay, we're gonna hear what we're gonna do now. We're gonna end this argument, mate, because you're not listening at all. Okay, hear what you've said. What you're gonna said. You've made your opinion. You gave your answer. I allowed you, but since you're not going to comply, you're not complying. You're still bulldozing your way. You're still bullying your way through, and I don't like that. If you can't allow man to finish his statement, there's no point. Okay, here what I'm going to do. Here what I'm going to do now. Well, here what I'm going to do. Oh, fine. I've asked you the question, and you said that women are not on the pedestal. So I'm going to ask you to land. I'm going to say, listen. You said they are on a. Okay, fine. But you said that. What'd you call me? A nigger? What'd you say?
That's what I said.
Well, listen, mate, this is what I'm saying. Where you have to use them derogatory terms. So what are you? Are you a nigger too?
Nope.
Well, you don't use terms you can't use for yourself, bruv. In any case, all right, we'll finish the argument now because you're getting a bit out of hand here. Right? Now, forget it, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, goodbye. No, man, this is getting out of order. Now, see, what it is, yeah? We don't have to use derogatory terms to each other like that. When a man is coming down to make his point and using derogatory terms like that, it's no point in going on. I gave him enough. I gave him plenty of time to have a decent conversation with him, but he tends to bully his way through as per usual. He hasn't learnt yet. You can't bulldoze your way through like that. Not everybody you can do that with. There's some people you can go and intimidate with your bullyism, but there is not everybody is succumbing to that. I asked a simple question. I said that should we put women on a pedestal? Text sender says 235. Has Reese got a girlfriend? I doubt it very much. He couldn't have one being a bit male chauvinist like that. But I don't know. You'd have to ask him next time he comes on. I doubt if he's got one because it requires. See, to be a man. You see, what I said in this thing, that a man is made to protect the woman, to protect the household. This is what I know, and I can verify that in nature. The argument I had with an individual over the social media about this. Some those of you who are on the social media. On Facebook and all that, and I was having an argument with a known one that has no respect at all for women, right? And now he's trying to gather evidence that there are women who are opposed to this idea of calling women God, because they see that they're there to serve man, and I like the other caller there who's known to agree with that, to serve women there to serve men. And this woman was on the Facebook saying all these people telling us that we're no gods. This black woman, quite nice looking woman is that, and she's cussing out these people who want to put women on a pedestal. She said we're not there. We're there to serve man, and we're there to do this to man, and we're no goddess. And then the person pointed me out to one little foul mouth friend of, well, not even friend, but one little foul mouth American. Every second word was a swear word, and he's trying to use him as a source of inspiration. And he pointed me to him, who was then who in then turn began to describe women in a derogatory way, using the P word and cussing their private parts like that. And I'm saying to myself, I don't need to listen to scum like that. And if that's where you get your ideas from about women, I'm sorry for you. The way I see it, you don't have to lord it over a woman because you're stronger. And it's these little weak, what I call cowards, that because they know that they're physically stronger than a woman, right? Because that's where the Supreme Being made us, our muscle mass, our frame. A woman can't lift as much as we can, not because they can't do it, but they weren't made to do it. It's not rocket science. And those men that seek to degrade the woman that they come from in that kind of a fashion, right, to me represents a very low life. a low mentality. Usually those people have some problem with their mother. Some even want to beat their mother up. I'm telling you, people with that kind of mentality are usually ones that show violence against their own mother. Whatever their mother must have done to them back in the day, or they didn't have a very good relationship with their mother. So when we're asking that question, all-important question, should we place women on a pedestal? Maybe that's the wrong way to say the right thing, because we're not really putting women on a pedestal. We don't worship women, but we have, maybe I should have phrased it, should we show women respect? This is that's a bit easier way to, should we give the woman respect? But the other caller, the first caller, was talking about a Western culture. I'm not talking about Western culture, because I know Western culture began with the degrading of women. And I don't know where we get this idea about this culture is a woman, but just because there was a woman prime minister don't mean a damn thing, or they had a queen. That's hereditary. It's not a choice. I'm going to put a woman on the throne. No, she got it through hereditary, not by default or by a choice. You know, following, that's how the European run their thing. But I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is generally the disrespect that society has generally shown to women. I mean, and we have some little renegade men we have some men that are in agreement with the way women has been treated. And there are some women out there that will agree. And I wanted to know whether it's the same thing with women here that I heard expressed on the clip what I saw in American YouTube, two American women, I think it was. Well, I only knew about one. That was really on the side of the fact that they shouldn't, I mean, I didn't say that we are putting women on a pedestal, but they were saying that this is what they got it as, women being placed as goddess. They're not goddess, but they are in agreement with the fact that the woman is there to serve the man. Yeah, I'm telling you, behind all these people with these kind of ideas is they also agree with the saying that the woman came from the rib of a man. You see? So the woman that came from the rib of a man, this kind of a theological ideology, which is not universal. It's only those Bible pushers and that gravitate around this idea because it's what's inside of them. It's their nature rather than a fact that women are subservient to men and are under man. And I find black people who have that kind of idea really, it worries me to a high degree and shows you how much they've been brainwashed by the Caucasoid to look at their women in such derogatory ways. And there's one brother who I know who believe in pimping. He tried to rationalize pimping, and I'm thinking, when you get like that, isn't it a fact that you are really finished in society? How can you have a balanced family with kind of ideas like that? That when you have the woman as a slave, and you grow your household with that kind of mentality, doesn't matter how you try to dress it up. As far as you're concerned, women are made to serve man. And I want to know how much people in our society believe this. I want to try and do a little consensus today, a little litmus test, and find out how many of you will call in and agree with that, agree with the Bible about woman is taken from the rib of man and them kind of thing, that like you could really do something like that, in reality, you know what I mean? You really think that God put man to sleep. You really believe this crud, this rubbish, right? And you're trying to rationalize your dominance over the female. And yet we have evidence of our culture, the African culture, the high African, not these little renegade blacks, these little misguided blacks what we've got here today masquerading as blacks. We're following the European ideology. You know what I mean? Not these little runaway Negroes. I'm talking about those ones who come from a high state of mind, a high culture, a high state of mind that brought humanity out of drudgery, who even brought Europe out of the dark ages, animalistic-like mannerisms, and show how we ought to treat women. Like, for instance, ancient Ethiopia with the kentake that placed women, but placed men on the throne. I mean, we recognized the position of women long time ago, and I'm glad that we didn't have this kind of a renegade ideas and disrespect to women that we have coming from spouting from some of these little, I don't know, renegade black folks who have now decided to join the Caucasoid in disrespecting their women. You see what I'm saying to you? And I want to know how rife this is. How much? If I want to see how many people are moving towards the dark side of things, right? In their in their expression to women. As I say, I'm talking about ancient Ethiopia, who showed the way. It showed women's place in a society. Yes, and the first thing that we respected was our women. And the first thing that the Caucasoid did was dominate the woman. Dominate her, kick her about the place, drag her for her ear and ugh, with a big club, as we see them do. Is exactly how they treat their women. And I understand through the Iceman inheritance that they used to, the men had so much hair that they weren't very tactile with their aggressiveness that they've passed on to the black folks. They used to like, in the cave, and used to like when he had an urge, he would just spring on the woman in the corner. She couldn't even come near him because he's like that. You know, I mean, that's Western. That's the origin of Western thinking towards the women, and it's a fact. You like to talk about facts. Well, here's a fact, right? This is the origin of Western society, where the women were trodden underfoot, bruv. You know what I mean? And I even found it, and I'm saying that in Ethiopia, the women was highly respected, and Payanki showed that respect when he man and female ruled side by side every phase of society, and this is where we are. This is the grace that we have fallen from. We've become more Caucasoid than the Caucasoid themselves when it comes down to respect for women. You see what I'm saying to you? And if we followed this society, if we never had an enlightenment and we'd carry on the way that this society has taught us from school to disrespect the women, even in the church, you see what I'm saying? Where even Western society having disrespect, male chauvinist, even Jesus Christ was a male chauvinist. Then God the Father must be even a bigger male chauvinist by telling women that they mustn't even speak in the church. That you must not. This is what Corinthians are telling the black women. You're not supposed, and they're not even obeying it. Because when I was in the church, you had people that were like women that were preachers, and the Bible distinctly told you not to preach over man. The Bible told you that you must shut up in it. Literally use those. This is actually what the Corinthians says. 2 Corinthians some other time said I forgot what chapter and verse, but it said woman supposed to, and it said these words, to shut up in the church and learn from her husband. You know what I mean? And it also tells you that man is the head of the house. That said, God is the head of man, and man is the head of this wayward, renegade, backward thinking that some of our black folks are now heavily engaged in. Disrespect, barbarism. These black folks that believe that, I believe they've gone back to barbarism. Right? They're going back to They're going back to be barbarian. That's what they are. Barbarian, because they have allowed Western culture to chip away at their morality and their feeling of a morality. They ain't got none anymore. No morals. They're the said ones that are going about bringing this kind of a mindset on the face of the earth where they've got no morals, no respect for cat, rat, or dog. Is that the kind of people that we are turning out to be today? That we can speak of our women in such derogatory terms about them? And now there are women, well, there's only two I know of, but I'm sure there's a lot more that perhaps gravitate around the idea that women are not supposed to be called gods. And here one of the little renegade man said, well, so that means that I don't have to give her no money because she's a god. And I don't have to pay rent because... Oh, come on, man. Where'd you get your mentality from? Eh? Look what you've come down. Look at the thinking that you try to bend or rationalize your disrespect for women by asking, if she's a god, then I don't need to pay rent because she's a god. Oh God! You ever hear such crud in your life coming from? I don't know where this kind of idea comes from. It comes from the pits of hell, alongside the gutter mentality of which is no morals, no scruples, and you've got no respect. If we don't draw the line, it seems like that's been removed from our community, and we're moving towards this, sick way of thinking, aided by some of these little renegade blacks that you've got to be very careful of. They're the ones they've got their pathology, you see, and so the pathology's high and deep in them. Perhaps they even hate their mother. You see, and parent rejection. Some of these people suffer from parent rejection, like what the Caucasoid suffered from when he was rejected by the black woman. That's why he had this pathology against women. The fact, and along with his numerical inadequacy and melanin deficiency, all these deficient things that turned into a pathology of hate towards the women. The first thing he dominated was his woman. You never see her as a partner. That's why they don't have a contract, a marital contract. You know what I mean? A woman loses the right of life and death. As a man marries the woman, she can't go back to her gods. She has to stay with a man forever. You know, the Bible tells you that, you can't divorce. And how can the Bible tell a woman that she must shut up in those same words? Shut up. I don't know how women actually go to church, to be honest with you. I don't know how women go to church, because if the Bible makes them inferior. Every time they look into that Bible, they've got an inferiority complex straight away. How would you feel if you were a woman and you were told by God that you are the reason for sin coming into the world? God has even blamed the women. Their God anyway, their Neanderthal God, because it's not the same God that Amun Ra that I am aware, I'm knowledgeable of. This is a cultural Caucasoid God called Jehovah, a renegade God, a God of the same type as them, who would allow men to go and kill other men and say take his land. It's just typical of the mindset of the gods that some of these nation worship. What's this? Texana says Europe has never. I'm getting my glasses out. That's backing up Europe again because of support. Europe has never disrespected their women as a policy. What do you mean? Michael Bradley and yourselves must have been living in the caves to know so much about their social relations. This country has Bodhisattva, but even the fictional Helen. But they were all killed by men. Men, they had to be rebellious because of the way. You don't know what you're talking about, Reese. You have no idea. Bodhisattva was risen because of the ill treatment that the Western man had for his woman. He doesn't have any respect for, and you can stop covering up for him. You don't know the thing. They have no respect for women here in this country. As we showed the white man how to have respect for their women. You understand? And so what you're talking about is a load of crud because you're a Westerner yourself and because you're influenced by a Caucasoid way of living. And we know that you don't have any respect for women as well because you think that they're there to serve your ass. No matter what you say, the bottom line is for you, and you cannot deny this. You believe that women are there to serve you, and you believe that you're better than a woman. The bottom line, this is what I'm driving at. Forget all the facade and all the trappings, all the things you want to pretty up with. The fact remains, at the end of the day, your feelings, you can cover it as much as you like. Your feelings, and this is what I'm trying to get at, right? Don't worry about all the camouflage, the verbal camouflage and the conceptual camouflage that you like to cover yourself in. Bottom line is your feelings towards women. You have no respect. Alongside some other renegade that used to call my show back in the day, have no respect for women neither. They think that they're there to be pimped. And I want to know how much does the black man of today believe that women are there to serve them? I want to hear from you. It's not my opinion you want to hear. So numbers are 07931 27 62 and a 32. Now repeat, 07931 27 62 and a 32. We'll bring it into the studios. You can also text on that number. How much is it a fact for black men in this time who actually believes that women are there to serve them, and as the Bible says, and also how many women also believe that they are there to? I've never heard many women call in on something on a topic like this to say, yes, I believe that I'm there to serve my husband or my man or a man. And the man is the head of me, because the Bible says the head of every man is God. And the head of every woman is a man. Now that's what that Neanderthal God said. And I don't want to take nothing from no Neanderthal God called Jehovah, who nearly killed all these people in the wilderness because he was so jealous. You know what I mean? Who'd want to worship a God like that? You know, that's not my God. I don't know whose God. Well, I do know who God that is, but that's the European God. It's not the God of the universe I'm talking about. That's the European God of European culture. It's a cultural thing. The Bible is a cultural memory for the European, to remind him of his culture and his state of mind towards the woman. You see? Because he failed and the woman look at him as nothing, he has to do that in a defensive fashion, because he cannot produce a child, because the male of the European can't produce a child of color. You see what I'm saying to you? So if the male of the species can't produce a child of color, he has a feeling of inadequacy. You see, because his numerical he's not, he cannot multiply enough. You see, and if he can't multiply enough, then the women will look at him and say, "Boy, you're not good enough." You see. So I have never claimed anything you are blaming me. Yes, you have. Don't try to worm your way out of this one, Reese. You claimed it all the time. You said you're better than women. You said the woman is there to serve you. You said that so many times, bruv. So don't try to backtrack now. I've got you up for this. And this is what everybody knows you for. That's why they keep asking you, have you got a girlfriend? It's not about you in any case, but it's about your opinion. And I know what your opinion is. If you've already voiced it, mate. And everybody knows that. But so what I'm talking about, I want to find out if there's any more like you. I know there's another one like you. I ain't going to call his name, but he knows who he is if he's listening. Right? He's the one that tried to contradict me in the social media about the state of woman, you know, and his rationalization or his justification for pimping them. And he said he liked the way the Europeans handle their women because they know how to control them. I thought, here's this little renegade. You know what I mean? You know, it's just different. It's a cultural. It's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing. You see what I mean? Right? Yeah, you got 2 minutes, Reese, because you've been on before. Yeah, you hear me? I say.
Yep.
Right, fire.
Now, point number one. I don't mind somebody repeating what I say and my views on feminism and women. That's open. I'll put it out there so everybody can know it. What I do resent is people lying about it and making a straw man argument and just going up on one. And it has an opportunity to question and to reaffirm if what I say is true. But rather than do that, speak over somebody who's an expert in the field. I have to call myself an expert in the field. What's all the reading for? What's all the studying for? If it is about one historical topic or another, one has to get it right. But therefore, when you speak with authority, and therefore you can quote books from the various sides, which makes the world in which we live gynocentric. Women on a pedestal. We see it every day. It's being rammed down Africa's throat right now with this female genital mutilation, a perspective on which the Europeans is telling and recreating what it's about. They don't know what it's about, but they're trying to feminize Africa, they're trying to feminize India, and they're trying to ram it down people's throat. I don't mind that it happens, but when I speak of it, And just because you don't know of it, and it's strange to you, and it's a big story, don't make up stuff about it. You don't need to do that.
Right, thank you. Yep, time's up. Thank you for that interjection. Right, yeah, well, I don't agree with him anyway, because I don't see women being put on any pedestal for my being in this country. No way. I find why you got feminists in the first place, because they want rights. If they were already on the pedestal, why would they be fighting for rights? You know what I mean? So that's just a load of hogwash as far as I'm concerned, mate. You know what I mean? And you can't come on, try to try to intimidate man with your false knowledge. You know what I mean? As far as we're concerned, we know the thing already. Everybody's educated in the male-dominating society, Western society, male chauvinist way. The Bible is a male chauvinism. The answer to that. Why have you got father, son, and then a slap in the face to women, and you got a ghost? Eh? What kind of disrespect is that, even in the heights of a godhead? That's why I'm showing you that the Bible is European cultural memory. It's got nothing to do with the human race. Their God is a Neanderthal God called Jehovah, a very vicious God. A God that took his people in the wilderness and nearly killed them all because he was jealous that they might worship somebody else. I don't know how you work that one out, but this is the thing. And you're mixing metaphors with women being put on pedestals. I mean, in African, yes, Melu, we talk that way. This is how we see our women, because in comparison to this society, we see the derogatory way women are treated. So we now say, well, if you're going to be educating yourself in terms of African culture or black culture, not even Indian culture, black culture, because everyone has their own pattern of interpreting reality, and our pattern of interpreting reality is respect for women. You see what I'm saying? So you keep mixing up with European culture and West and black culture. Nobody's forcing women on a pedestal in a Western culture. You hear us talking about it in African culture, especially a diasporan, that women are held in high esteem, and that's what probably getting up eating your goat, because every time you turn on the radio, you hear them, they're bigging up the women against your better judgment. You try to make women look very derogatory and inferior, and people have known you for that. So no matter what you say, you can't escape me, bruv. No matter how you twist or turn, the bottom line is you think you're better than a woman. And if you can come and argue on that point and say, and I don't want you to phone in and try to explain why, just the mere fact that you say this, all right, and you believe this. You said it before, women are there to serve man. And I want to know, you're the only one so far, well, apart from the another one, I want to hear, now don't hide, you come out with it. We're not going to disrespect you on the air. I just want to know how widespread this idea is. I'm not going to say nothing, I'm not going to voice my opinion. I just want you to let's explain, why do you think that women are there to serve man? Apart from the reason is that the Bible. I'm not asking you about no bloody feminists in the Bible. Why should I don't cater to people's ideology. I'm not going to ask you about it. I ask you what I want to ask you. And feminism is not one thing I'm going to ask you about. Right? Feminist is who, whatever they want to be, and the reason why they seem to create that group is because of the male chauvinism of Western man and Western culture. You know what I mean? And it's trickled down to other cultures as well, and that's how it is. Influencing, every culture influences each other. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you're live on Genesis. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, caller. Yeah. I don't know if the phone's getting a bit funny. I don't know because I can't. It's a bit muffled. Go on, talk.
Hello, can you hear me now?
It's very hold on. It's very distorted. But go on, carry on. Wow.
I could not believe that I like the researcher's cause, but I could not believe. I don't know if he said anything bad against the Queen, because it sounded very distorted.
Yes, what I said. It sounded distorted. That's what I mean.
But if he said anything against the Queen, you know that, or anything against women, you know that Genesis has a code of conduct, and that one person on one mainstream station said something against the Queen, if I have to go. And they said that the delay button wasn't working. And what I'm saying is that when people come out with statements like this kind of thing, swearing at the public figure, or if it sounds distorted, if he swore at a public figure, and plus, hurting women in a way, I don't mind him coming on and disagreeing with you. But in this kind of morning, even for me, I don't mind it. But there will be some people that mind swearing, especially when kids are thinking. It's not my business. I'm a Turkish person, listen, and I like Genesis Radio because it goes on all levels. It goes on all different levels. And
accept your own and be yourself, Genesis.
Go on. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
And because if I don't know, but I'm going to play this recording back again because I'm recording.
Yeah.
But if it sounds distorted, if Reese had swore at the public figure, which she is, part of ruling.
Yes.
And I don't want to repeat it again because I don't want to give people, but if he had, then it's very, very sad because in this country, it's the station's responsibility. Whereas in America, if he does it, it's his responsibility, not the station's. England has a different code of law, not to America, and they don't have that freedom of speech to just come on and do that. It's his responsibility. It's the station's responsibility. So I don't.
Hello? Wow. Don't know what happened there. One sec. I don't wonder. Hold on. Wow, that's what happened there. Let me put this thing back on. What's a minute? Oh, you can call back Bertrack. I don't know what happened there, but the line just went funny. Sorry about that, Bertrack. It's quite interesting what you were saying. The text sender says 753 says Miss. What's that? Oh, phone line here too good. At the last caller, phone line is bad. Well, it should be a bit better now. All right, one sec. Yeah, okay, go ahead, caller. Should be a bit better now. Go on. You're live. Hello? Wow. Are you there, caller? Hello? Wow, I don't know what... Yeah, test. I don't know what's happening. Right, are you there, Reese? Not Reese, Bertrack. I can't hear a word. Wow. Tess, you there? Don't know what's happening to this. You'd like to call back again, Bertrack, because I don't know what's happening to this. Okay, yeah, call back again and find out what's happening. Text sender 901 said, sort out the phone line, it's hissing. He knew the last caller fake. When people phone up, they need to turn down their volume on their phones. Yeah, try that. Yeah, when you call, try and turn the volume. What I've done, I've made an adjustment here. So I want to call in again and see if it's coming out a bit better. Yes. So this is where we're at in this time. We have to really know where we are in the scheme of things. You see, and because we know where we are nowadays, we need to get some better equipment. True. So here we are in this scheme of things here, and we have to know exactly where we are. We're not guessing our way through life anymore. We know exactly where we are in the scheme of things. And society is divided down the lines of should we have any morals or shouldn't we have any morals. A lot of people are growing up today like renegades, like barbarian, and it's not being done properly because people are not understanding behavior, and they don't know the difference between a wayward behavior and then an acceptable behavior. See, so no matter how much you might be a rebel in society, or you might be a renegade, you see, you're up against what people feel within themselves naturally, and you want to change that. People have been brought up with morals, and you've decided that you're going to take away all the morals that exist in people now and come down to a gutter mentality. If you find yourself having to swear and cuss all manner of bad word to be heard, well, that's a cowardly way out. You got no scruples. I wouldn't trust you as far as I can throw you. That means I wouldn't even trust you with my cat. If you got no way to stop yourself from becoming like that, then I wouldn't trust you. You see, because you're allowing the animal to run rampant. You've got no safeguards. You've got no restraint, and you're dangerous people to have around. And I'm thinking they're steadily winning ground, because they come in so many disguises, so many different angles, and that's why I needed to find out from the people today how many of us in our community here in the UK believes that, like some of those people in America, which you see on the Facebook, talking about these things. Lately, there's been a surge of these little people that want to say we shouldn't place women on a pedestal because they this and they're that, like our first caller has a beef with women, right? And want to paint the picture of them as lesser than, and they call look at all these hotels trying to place women and calling them gods, and they are opposed to this. They haven't given the reason why they are opposed to it, but they just opposed to it because I'll tell you what as well, I would like to see them how they use those women sexually as well. They're probably buggering them too. I'm telling you, they probably believe in buggering women because the way that they treat them and talk about them. And if my daughter ever came home with a little renegade man like the one that guy tried to introduce me to, which he was explaining why the woman shouldn't be called God, and he used all the P's in the world. If my daughter, any of my daughters brought any of them men, I'm going to tell them, listen, don't bring that man back to my house. And if you have to bring him back here, don't bother come back yourself. I'm telling you, I would say that, and they know I would. I don't want my daughter going out with no foul-mouthed renegade who can't control himself. If he can't control himself, you soon want to start beating her up. You know what I mean? Because he's got no self-control. It's not about self-control anymore. It's more. It's about now how more rogue can you be? The more rogue you are, and vagabond and rogue, is the more you think people respect you. But that's not the case. But it seems like in Europe there's like a denial. At least these guys, what I know, come out and say what they say, which you've got to give them respect as well, because at least they're not hiding anything. The guys that I was referring to and discussing this thing, at least they weren't hiding anything. They came out with it. They said they don't respect women. You know what I mean? Because the women should be this and women should be that. You know what I mean? And you know exactly where they are in the scheme of things. You see? But I want to check this out and have a consensus on if that's the way that this, and I feel that's the case. This society is slowly creeping towards that kind of a mentality, and we are like the last of the Mohicans. We still believe in moral respect, and you still have to have a moral approach and have respect how we talk to address women and address each other as well. You see, and right now there's a growing number, and in the UK as well, because they're so influenced by what's going across America there with the polite and that lot and the Hebrew Israelites and that kind of lot who talk derogatory down to themselves, and they think, well, now they're going to learn off of that. They use them as their source of inspiration. I won't use no foul-mouthed man as no source of no inspiration. If you check me on the Facebook, you'll see my reasonings, and you'll see that person that was opposing me, just the same way that the first caller was doing it. So we now know that there is a group of them with that kind of derogatory stance about the woman. And I will also like to know if there are women today, and if you don't feel away, I'm not going to disrespect you or run you down on the air. All I want to know is, why do you feel that way? And if you do feel that way, if there's a growing a number of women, black women, right, because basically it's a black culture that tells you that women should be on a pedestal, or even side by side her man, right, ruling every phase of society. That's what we try to put. Bottom line, this is what we're trying to talk about here, that your queen, and I don't mind calling women a queen, right, should rule side by side. The reason why we got this Batman thing going on here, because there's too much male orientation here. You see what's happening in Western society, this fellow in a ship thing. It's always man and man trying to strut his stuff, playing sword fight with each other. You see what I'm saying? It's a big problem. For me, at least. I don't know about you. Text sender says... wait, get my glasses. Right on. Text sender says... It's not just America you get who are foul-mouthed crackpots. They're right here on Genesis with your fellow presenter, Dr. Death. Dr. Death. I think you mean Dr. X. Well, this is what I'm saying to you. Those who want to do things that way doesn't mean that everybody's going to join them. And I want to be representative of that group that don't join them. We ain't going to bow. I'm telling you. There's no bowing here. We believe in morals and respect for women. And I want you to stand by me, because that's what I stand for. Nobody is on my show is going to come on and talk derogatory of any woman, because my mother was a woman. Saying, so I want us to have that. We want our youths to grow with that respect. You see, and we hear a lot of talk. Hold on. You're live on Genesis. Greetings. Why is that not there? Hold on a minute. One sec, caller. I don't know. Hold on. One sec. Let me try to get this. Right, are you there, caller?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, as I was saying, now, coming on to the other point, you opened up a good topic, and the text has opened up a good topic. Now, I don't want to say anything about myself. I don't want to advertise myself to anybody, but I have an issue of talking about when I come up to ladies or however, and I have had this when I go to somewhere, the fitness center, and I say these things which ain't appropriate to say, because I know the code of conduct. I've listened to many mainstream radios and many other radios, so I know the code of conduct. And because of these kind of things, some people think I'm bizarre, some people like it. However, when I was there was a teacher I learned, and she was in the Turkish Autistic Center. Years ago, I went there to stay there, and I was trained up to, you stay there, you have content, they feed you content, and they get you into the sports center to train you up. We did swimming, we did gym and everything. So I got with the teacher, and I said something like, let's jump into the pool together. After that, she never wanted to talk to me again. And there was something realize what the problem is, you know, and there's a lot of people out here that, not just in any community, I'm just talking about globally, that they don't know how to talk to ladies. And it's not because of my disability, it's not because that I could not be able to realize what I'm saying when I say it. And then it always comes back down to this, you know, now that people are understanding now that things are, you know, getting a bit out of hand with me, you know, and all the things I get, I cannot explain it, because if I explain it, even though it was the best, the management came into the studio and said, Burchak, this is not appropriate for the show, you know, and this is what I'm saying, that when you don't have some person to lead you in the right way, everyone for himself. I look out there now, every man for himself. And it's not just, you know, this problem, it happens to everybody. There's no Caucasian or black or Asian about this. It happens to every single body in the community. And it's about how many people are there in London right now, or in England right now?
Yes.
It's over 2 million. You know, some now, I found out in the questionnaire, that some now, if I heard this right, there's a lot of single men out there. You know, they don't, and maybe it's because they can't get a girlfriend, or they don't want responsibility of having a girlfriend.
Bertrand, the question I want to put to you is, should we have higher respect for women? Because this is what the argument's about, putting women on a pedestal. And maybe that's a wrong way of looking at it, because we don't really put women on a pedestal, you know. So I don't want to be arguing on the wrong point. The point is, how much respect have we for our women today? This is the point. And should we have deep respect for them?
Well, I respect women, yeah, but there is the one part of me where people don't know about me, is that when I get very upset, when I get to the heating point, like on the last show, I got to the heating point, and it was good that Brother Rashid Nixon calmed me down, but when I get to the heating point, I don't respect people as in common. I would say something that is derogatory to any race or community of people, not just women, but this is the problem that I have. So I would say something derogatory against women, because I don't have a woman sometimes, and when it comes to the heating point, I just stay out. And that gets me in trouble. So, but should we have a bit of respect for women? Of course. We should have respect not just for women, for everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're all people at the end of the end. Look, Heru, we're not animals. We're all people. We're all people. We should have respect for people. We should have respect for each other. We should have respect for each other's thoughts. Whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you believe in a different religion, whether you believe or this is from this religion or from that party, we should not be arguing and getting each other with sticks and things just because you're one person not. And I see this now, that people don't have respect for each other. And because people don't have respect for the disabled now, you know, and that's another problem. Yeah, not just for women, but people cuss each other. You know, people cuss me because I'm a disabled person, you know, and they was like, not him again on the regional film. They was like, not him, well, we don't want to listen to him again. It was like that. People don't have respect for each other. So it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You're going to see women not having respect. There's a lot of people that's cussing women, you know, and, you know, you get a lot of things. I don't want to say who, but you get a lot of women being cussed, you know. It's like a hate crime getting out of control. You're going to see this more happening, you know, and then you get people with disabilities don't be respected, you know, and being pushed aside. You know, it's now getting worse. It's not getting better. The respect is getting out of control, you know, and this is what's happening right now in this country. People don't know how to treat each other, you know. That is why this crime of violence is happening. More often now you hear unreported cases of women being attacked, you know, and especially disabled women being attacked, unfortunately, our Turkish stations, it comes back to that, we can't talk. We're not a talking nation, unfortunately. When we talk, we just have to be derogatory against each other, or that station goes down. There's no. So that's why I phone up the black stations, because they're the nearest common denominator to me.
All right.
Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
Okay, Reese, thank you for that interjection. No respect. Bird track, sorry. Okay, cool. Oh, you said with bloody brain. Bird track. Okay, so there you are. There you have it, folks. So what is your say? What do you say about this? Do you find that there is too much disrespect for women? That's probably why we're in the state we are today. We're following too much wild imaginings from across the water. These little, I think I always said it, the Americans, the black Americans, they're good in a sense, but to me, they go overboard a bit. They really go overboard with their attitude, and they don't know that they're suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome, even though that's where the source is coming from. That they're suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome more than the Caribbean and the UK black diaspora. And this is my own opinion, though. It's not the opinion of the station or the management, but it's my own opinion. I see the most ridiculous of ideologies that are coming from that section of the community, even though they have got full knowledge of post-traumatic slave syndrome. You know what I mean? And they've got some the most derogatory people from that neck of the woods. I mean, unless we hide our one here, I don't think we're as derogatory as they are, especially when it comes down to women. We learn from them. Some of these guys we hear call in there and start talk about women, disrespecting women, because they go on the YouTube, they go on the media, and they search for these things, and they see the Americans, like some of the even black women. I've never seen a UK black woman say what I saw that the American black woman said about women, that we are putting them on a pedestal. We shouldn't be calling them gods. We shouldn't be. But then, you know what I mean? But you're the one that was saying that. Are we not saying that our women were raped by European men? Back in them days, didn't they rape their way in our society? Yet you have the renegade blacks coming up now and powdering and pampering the European, and like he's never done anything wrong or bad. And this is a clear sign of post-traumatic slave syndrome, where you start to look at the oppressor with sympathetic eyes. And you look into the oppressor to teach you how to treat your women, when they were the ones that went around and raping the Sanguine woman. Rape in the Western culture, there's not a name for murder of a woman. By extension, it applies to her, but fratricide and things like that is murder of the father. There's no name for murder of a woman. So I'm trying to hide European culture. No matter which way you want to look, the Europeans don't have any respect. So don't tell me nonsense about they had respect for women. Are you crazy? Which part of them? Which part of them? If you look at the origin of their race, the women had a very rough time, and they're still having a very hard time in gaining some equality with this male chauvinist society. As I used the Bible as a classical example, even in the Godhead, women are not represented with any kind of respectful way. And the women have never said it. In the UK, why are they blamed for sin? If the male, and it wasn't a black man that invented that idea, bruv. It wasn't a black man. A black man could never invent the idea that a woman was responsible for sin. That is in the Caucasoid imagination. That is the Caucasoid's explanation of why sin came through the world through sex. Because they were able to produce. They hated sex. And they still do. Text sender 901 says, in 1937, the Europeans raped and murdered 40,000 Chinese women and men. You see? Thank you for that. 40,000 Chinese women and men in 1937. So where do you get off in trying to use them as an example of how to handle your woman? Are you sick in the head or something? Huh? Where do you get your facts from? Just because you have a personal angst against a woman and you're looking company, you're looking followers, and there are a few that may follow you, but one swallow doth not a summer make. One drop of rain on your window pane doesn't mean that a thunderstorm is coming. Rain may pour for an hour or more, but it doesn't matter. How about that? You see? Let's get it straight. Let's get this damn thing straight once and for all. Where do you stand? I don't hear anybody calling yet and tell me if they agree with this kind of a concept of women that were supposed to remain inferior. I will never like my daughters to be under a dominance of a man. They'll be an idiot to be under dominance, male dominance like that. You see what I'm saying to you? Because they must be free. That's not our culture. If you find it in the black culture now, it's because it's been influenced, like we're influenced in Western society. We're very much influenced by it, like they were influenced by us. Isn't that so? And I think they're still being influenced by us because, especially the youth. What is youth? What is white youth culture? Isn't it black? Isn't all the white youths talking like how, hey man, big man, and hey man's got peas? And where do you think they got that from? Man don't know, man peas, and man this and man that, hey big man. Where do you think they get that talking from? They didn't invent it for themselves. They got it from our children. You see what I'm saying? Because we're so strong, we're so influential that we don't even have to be in power to rule or to influence. You see? So let's get this thing straight. It's only now that we're producing bunch of black barbarians, with a derogatory mindset of our female. We never did that. You know, we don't want to dominate the woman because we know that we're stronger than them physically, but not mentally. You try making a man carry a baby for 9 months to see how he carry on. A man get a cold, a man start going, I'm dying. You know, big, tough, grey-back man. Like I would love to be in a company of some hairy back brother. You know, big calf, hairy back brother. Don't bring that thing around me, I'm telling you. I don't like to be too much fellows in a ship. You see? No way. This Batman thing that's going on today. That's the reason why too much Batman in the world. Because of this disrespect of the female. You begin to look at your brethren like you love him. Looking at his big tough calf and all fall in love with that. How can you do such things like that? I don't know how it's done. All right, even if the man is feminine, then you know you still know you shouldn't have them kind of feelings for a man. But because of the way that our women have been disrespected today, we're bringing up children. We've got no guidelines, no morals anymore. Western society is doing that. And if they were really woman orientated, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't try to blend the gender together or blur the lines between a man and a bloody woman, right? If they were really for the women, they wouldn't do it. They want to keep it distinct. They wouldn't want to make a woman look like a geezer bird like. Enough of these geezer birds are going around today. And you can't tell the difference nowadays. You look out there, you have to be very careful. You might be bringing home a hard, tough back, grey back man who's acting like a woman. You see what I mean? When do we get to be like that? When have we fallen from grace and becoming more like Caucasoid? looking at your brethren. And most of those men who got a problem with women look at their brethren and they fancy themselves. I bet secretly, they fancy their brethren. Secretly. I was watching a little movie yesterday on television. Made me laugh about these little tough Asian guys. You know, they were like gangsters and they were trying to portray a gangster thing because, you know, but they were Batman. You know what I mean? All tattooed up, you know, giving it the big un. But they were all underneath Batman, undercover Batman them. And he started to look at his brethren. And he did have secret fancy, like he's trying to fight it. I had to bust out laugh. I said, look at you. You fancy your brethren. Secretly. You're acting like you're all tough and big. Man. You're like a Batman underneath the quiet. Eh? And he was fighting it. And he grabbed this girl and he backed up against the wall and he was giving it whatever he was doing to her, like he was trying to prove to himself he's still got it. It lasted for about 2 seconds. I thought, 2-second wonder. You see what I'm saying to you? All these big tattooed people, rough looking. And so they blended this in the scene, a gay scene. This is why they were against the Black Panther. Because they said, oh, the gay community jumped up and said, oh, how come I'm disappointed because there wasn't any gay scene within the Black Panther. They wanted to see a gay scene. Who the hell are these people in any case? Who the hell are the gay community? What are you doing? Watch over everything so you want to change everybody into... See, the caller was wrong. It's not Europeans or it's not the people who are trying to turn feminine men into... There is the gay community trying to, which is more European. There's more gays in the European culture than there is in a black culture. I'm not saying there's no gay people in black culture, but you got more heterosexual, all right, more than gay. You see what I'm saying to you? As though gay is meant to be a feature of humanity. It's not. It's not at all. You see? So when they're going around and saying that the black Hotep people are trying to turn people into feminists by putting a female, by putting the woman on, what a lot of... You see how the mind works? You see how these Setian minds work? You see? Trying to cover up for the disrespectful culture that has disrespect of the women at their base, their foundation, right? And hail the rise and dominance of the male. And you've got some little hurry, jump up, come up modern blacks who that appeals to because they're secretly bisexual or they have indulged in that thing some time ago and they're fighting it. So they don't want women to be placed on a pedestal because they have plans to place the man there. You know what I mean? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I want to know what you really feel. What can you be honest with yourself out there now? And let me hear it from those who think that women shouldn't be placed on a pedestal and should be under the man. If you're brave enough, I'm not going to run you down. I'm not going to disrespect you. Let's see how many of you out there are of the opinion that this should be. You're very suspect, quietly, make me kind of suspect you out there. You're so quiet because it's never been said in this society yet. Because I think that the Americans are more open with it, and they'll come out of it and they'll cuss women and cuss men who put women on pedestal. And you have the bunch. I only saw one woman that was in agreement with that on the social media, and yet that brother tried to use the fact that one woman was saying that and tried to make a whole meal out of it and say, well, every woman is against being placed on a pedestal by their man, and they don't feel that they should be called a god. So let's hear from you yourself. Let's hear from the women out there if they've been courting that kind of idea for the longest of time and actually succumb to the idea that they should be under the man, dominated by the man, like man is any big thing. You see, and I want to know how much of you feel that that is the correct way to have a relationship where the man is the head of the house, or even that the man is ahead of the woman. Are you of the opinion that the head of every man is God? It didn't say woman, you know. It said the head of a man is God. And the head of a woman is man. You ever hear something like that? Where did that come from? Are we slipping into barbarism? Are we becoming more Caucasoid than the Caucasoid itself? Are we holding out too long on this, recognizing this post-traumatic slave syndrome thing that's tearing us to pieces? That's because we refuse to do anything about it. Because we're more overtly concerned about the position of Africa and the motherland and that political position of Africa, that we don't take time out to try and have a mass counseling among us, have mass meetings where the diasporans can go and vent their feelings and have a group discussion and then remain in that union, being able to get somewhere in life with that established unity. But we don't have that here. And we're still going on blindly like it doesn't matter. And the amount of information coming from the diaspora, and it's not enough that are saying to us and leading us down that road of counselling. We don't deal with. I don't see any organisation that are dealing with the healing process. All I see is organisations out there, diasporan organisations, that are just out there trying to turn people into activists and try to turn people into a charity. They're not looking about their trauma, and then they're asking the question: why are people disrespecting each other in the way they do? Because of this trauma, or this generational trauma, rather than the trauma itself, but generational, because we weren't there when they were actually doing what they did to the community, the black group, what they did to them. We weren't there. But it's because of apparently it's a bent gene, and we don't even have to be there, and we can pass this gene on. And this is what's happening then. If we accept that is what is happening, then we know the whys and wherefores of the wayward behaviours and the behaviour of our community, especially towards our women. You see? And I've learned that a very long time ago. But you see, when I first realised myself as a man in society, my realisation was in church, innit? And not even that, but my family background was off that genre, believing in God and Bible thing. So I didn't even have to go to church, because within my yard there was this thing going on there. But and so I grew. When I look back at it now, if I never educate myself, or I didn't got my will enlightened, I would have not known that the way I felt about woman was derogatory, because I was following the Bible. And as a young man, I lived in a house where the man is and not knowing that that's a cultural invasion, that's a imperialism that's been taken over our thinking once we are brought up in a male-dominated society where the man rules. You see, regardless of how much queen, we're not talking about hereditary here. We're talking about cultural. And if my man abdicate the throne, innit? That's why the queen got in, innit? But normally she probably wouldn't have been there. And look how the queen won't even give her son a chance. Look how long before she come out, before she just move out and get. She just, look at Charles, how old Charles is now. He's too old now to become a good king, and the mother won't move over. Yet the queen's mother gave the queen a chance, but she's not giving her son a chance. She wants to die on the throne. Text sender 054 says, there are many men in the so-called conscious community. Now, this is a term I don't understand, so-called conscious. That's labeling thing. That really gets on my nerves, but I'll have a little chat about that a little later. Conscious community who make out they have women in high regard, but behind closed doors they swear, beat up and manipulate their women. Some of these men are radio presenters and leaders of organizations. Yes, but unless you're in the house, how do you know that? Are you in there? Are you a fly on the wall? How do you know they beat up and swear? Yes, I understand that there are hypocrites and everything. But when you try to make it coming from a conscious community, like, you don't know, I mean, the word conscious is not, for me, it's not, what do you mean by this term conscious community? I mean, we're all conscious. You see what I mean? Otherwise, I mean, you know, we're all aware of ourselves, aren't we? So it all depends what you see consciousness as. You see, consciousness to me is self-identity. So when you're speaking about conscious community, it's not only the community that's conscious of itself. The whole human race is conscious of itself. You're conscious that you're listening to this radio today, aren't you? You're consciously listening to it, aren't you? You're not doing anything. Even if you were subconsciously listening, but you're still listening. You're still conscious of the fact that you are here listening to this broadcast. So when you say the conscious community, I don't understand that term. You see what I mean? So conscious means like what? That we're Africans and blah, 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 and we're going back. Is that what you call conscious? Because we see ourselves as Africans? That's not conscious. Because I want to be aware of my ethnicity. Doesn't make me a special brother. Don't make me no special than a Chinese and an Indian that wants to be culturally aware of themselves. They're not looking to shout it from the higher rafters like black. I don't know why diasporans feels a need to shout it from the highest rafters. I'm African. Don't hear Chinese saying, I'm Chinese, or Indian, I'm Indian. You don't hear that. Well, how come? Every minute you hear the screaming it from the highest rafters that they have to scream it out. I am African. That sounds to me definitely like a traumatized thing going on there, trying to convince themselves and the world that they are that, and they feel the need to parade it in front of everybody. That because of their loss, because they lost their culture. And they're only trying to regain it back now, and they think that the whole world we should do this in full view of the whole world. I don't know why they do things like that. And again, even the Africans, you never hear an African walking about saying, "I am African." I mean, the real African. Them. I'm not talking about the pseudo ones who still say they're African, although they've been away for 500 years, and they still say that they're African. Because of what reasoning? Not because of the culture, because they ain't in the culture. They can't even speak a word of it unless they learn. So you've been away for 500 years. So you say you're African, but which one of the 54 countries are you speaking about? You understand? When you say you're African, there's so many different dialects in Africa. So when you say you're saying you're a continent, then I'm a continent, because that's what he's going to say. If you're an African, you're a continent. If not directly, specifically picking one of those 54 countries out. When you say you're African, what are you saying? I don't understand that. Let's not muddy the waters here for people. Come on. You see what I'm saying to you? Which one? You're African, but what do you mean? I mean, if you ask an African what he says, he doesn't say I'm an African. He says I am from the tribe of Mbumbum. I am from the people of Ogudu. You see? They're not stupid. It's only the diasporans with their wayward thinking would ever want to tell people that they're African. And they don't even know what they mean, bruv. What do you mean? Are you from the tribe of Mbenge or Ungugu? Until you know what tribe you're from, you can't say you're African. Or you're saying that when you say you're African, you're talking about a continent. You can say, I'm a continent then. But they got this kind of a thing that I don't know what it is that endears them to the name Africa. They don't care they ain't bothered about which part. If they're from the tribe of Mbenge, right? Which would be better if you say that. oh, but you two, they can't say it. They're confused, twice confounded. You see? And it's from the 23rd chapter of their imagination that's driving these people to act and behave in the way that they are behaving today. You see? Just because they have been disengaged, torn away, hurt, mash up. Whoa, I don't want to get instruction from mash up people. I'm not following no mash up people go anywhere unless those mash up people look about themselves, and when they have sorted their trauma out, then I may decide to see where we can do from that. You see, my thing is I need to sort my trauma out. I haven't got time to buy no pipe dream about a place that I know nothing about and pretend like I do, because I can say Hotep, I can say O'Shea, I can say a few African words, means no things. You see, I don't know what if I can say a few African words, where I can't even tell you what tribe that words are coming from. You see, to the African, outside of his tribe is nothing. You see, you're live on Genesis.
Oh, hello. I just came to ask a question in my mind, and I will go, because you've talked so many good things of these things. Do you believe that the capitalist system also puts people in caste systems? Because in India they have the caste system. If you're a woman, you're this. If you're a man, for example, if you are disrespectful towards somebody, you're in the middle, you're in the worst of the worst. You've got caste systems. Some are right, some are wrong. And these caste systems put people, for example, in the capitalist system, allegedly you've got a caste, you've got a fair system where, there's a lot of people that trying to say that the women can't be prime ministers and this and that, and I don't know if the capitalist system that's doing this, or is it the people that's doing this. Then you've also said about people, from Africa and this and that, and from Africa, but I'll tell you what, yeah, like there's a lot of people, England, what's it now, talented players. Originally, they're not from England. If you look at all those players that play for England, like Ledley King and all that, they're originally from Jamaica, yeah? And they got so much talent that they could have given Jamaica inspiration, so much talent. But why is it that they played England? Everyone now wants to play England rather than play for their own countries. I mean, what's the complexity? Because I had a boy in school, and I think he's originally from Jamaica or Trinidad, but he didn't like the country he came from. And my teacher said to him, he was white man, very respectful man, very respectful. And he said that people should be happy on where they come from. We have this same problem within our community as well, that a lot of people, a lot of Turkish players, they want to play for Holland or Switzerland instead of playing for their own country. Sometimes it's a complex, sometimes it's because, they get cut out of the Turkish team and they want to play, but it's a lot of complexity, and I don't know what it is, but people are being more complex and they're not happy from where they come from. So they turn into English, they lose their Islamic culture, and then they become something else. And then when they come back into the community, they hit their parents, they attack their parents. I mean, I heard this from the Imam, like, in this country, they lose their culture when they come here. Some people, they say, I'm English, that's it, and you can't stop them after that, And I think our rule is this: you're either Turkish or either you're not. There's no such thing as British Turkish or Turkish British. You're either from one person, or you're either from us, or you're either not. Do you understand? You can't be in between, and that's what the English do. They put people in between. Even when I fill out the form, they say, are you this?
Okay. Hello? Hello? Oh, sugar. Don't know what happened there. Oh, man. These lines ain't working very well today. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that, caller. The phone just went dead. Anyway, we had enough of that argument to know what the caller was talking about. So thank you very much for that bird track. So, it's not me. It's the phone just cut out because it's something's playing up here. Yeah. Okay. So the idea that it's all cultural. This wayward belief system that we're taking on today, it's not ours. And the quicker we get used to that, is the better. As if we want to make our community better, and if we want to make our descendants not lose their way, you know what I mean, and make them, they don't have anything to grasp on because they haven't got any morals. We're not teaching them any morals at all. Those that think they can just, the more immoral you are, is the more you get through. And if that's the way that people wanting to force and to shape and to bend our thinking and our belief system like that, we're in trouble. So we're not only under the attack, in a sense of the word, from influence from a strange culture, but we actually got the people around us, amongst us, that are trying to shape our thinking about ourselves, about our group, and they just got some idea. Maybe they read a lot of books, or they enlighten themselves, and then they come up with some kind of a harebrained ideology which they want to force on people in our community. And you hear a lot of them like that. And those are the ones we call the Setians, you see. And so if it is a case of being forced to change, that means we'd have to know that what we're changing from. And I would recommend that all of us begin to do research on the way that if you study your culture, and if you know that we're from wherever you think we're from, but if you study your culture, then you'll see that we have to find and begin to research the way that we treated our women. I'm not talking about the modern day blacks now, who have been heavily influenced by the Caucasoid, and even within their own country, even within their own borders, people are influential in any case. We were influential one time, wasn't we? When we ruled the Mediterranean. You see, and a lot of people don't realize this, that we colonize people, and the quicker we get this into our head, the better. And we're only like crying because we've lost rule. That's what's happening here. We're uncomfortable with not ruling anymore. You see what I'm saying? And yet, so we got these kind of harebrained ideas about the fact that we're not ruling anymore, like we never did conquer anyone. But we conquered people long before the Europeans conquered anybody. Isn't that so? That's a fact. But a lot of these diasporans don't like to use the term conquer. They don't like black people being conquering other people. They can't hock that. They say, no, we never conquered anybody. And when it comes down to the crunch and they find out, they'll turn around and say, well, at least we didn't treat anybody disrespectfully. Oh, yeah? Is that what you say? What are you trying to do? Trying to paint a self-image of yourself which is faultless, flawless. It would be better you paint the truth. Neither would you paint a picture of you being negative. You see, but you paint a balanced picture of the fact that you used your spirituality to rise yourself out of barbarism. And that means that we were barbarians at one time. We used our spirituality to rise ourselves out of barbarism. You see, we were the first to emerge from barbarian. That makes us more closer to humanity than thinking that we come from somewhere in the universe, someplace else, with this perfectness. And it's only the diasporans who think that. You see, that they never conquered anybody. But our influence was hard and broad as well. Yes. We got to come to terms with that. That our influence, when we ruled, was for a hell of a long time. We influenced everybody that we ruled. And there's a kind of a mixed up, muddied up idea that to think that there is some manual in the human mind that states that when you're going to conquer anyone, there is a black print or a blueprint for conquering. There's no blueprint for conquering. If you got like today, for instance, if I had enough men and enough weaponry and I decided I want to go and take over a country, I can do that. The Europeans did it. You know what I mean? And when we did it, does anybody ask for any compensation for when we do it? No. Did the Mediterraneans ask for compensation when we ruled? And we used them? You see? These diasporans that are painting this picture of grandeur, that we are this and we are that. When is that not the case? We were barbarian just as much as any other barbarian until we learnt how to come away from that. We weren't born fully loaded, as I keep saying to people. And sooner the black race gets used to that there is no manual for people to conquer. If we find ourselves being conquered, it's because they got far more superior weapons than us. You see, the might rule, innit? It's what we're in, that era where might is right. You see, to a point now, if you wanted to go and take over Caucasoid, you'd have to have a hell heap of weaponry. If Europeans ain't going around conquering now, when we never had little muskets and things like that. But although even the muskets were more than what the opposition had, the sticks and stones and spears and all that, right? While they had high, more sophisticated weaponry. So if they spent time designing sophisticated weaponry to go around and conquer the world, well, that's what they'll do, innit? So what? So let's sit down then and design weaponry and go and conquer them back. Simple, innit? Go and conquer them back instead of sitting there and moaning about it. As I said, there's no manual. And we keep blaming them, saying, look, because you did this, and now you're still reaping the benefit from your conquering, you got to pay us. I don't see I can't get my head around that kind of ideology in any case. Who's going to pay you for being defeated? So I don't know what these blacks are saying, some of these modern ones. You know what I mean? That are not going around and recreating a civilization that will astonish the world like their forebears did. They weren't sitting around moping about being conquered and looking the easy way out to ride on some court case to get through, and ask them, well, you're still benefiting from the fact that you conquered our arse and you're still benefiting from it and you shouldn't be. I don't understand that logic. Can somebody please explain that to me? No matter what they did, no matter how they did it, because we're doing the same thing now. It's because we don't care how we are now, do we? We don't care if we're immoral. We don't care if we're a barbarian. We don't care about nothing. So what does it matter?
Accept your own and be yourself. Genesis Radio thanks you for your visit.
So what does it matter then? Does it matter now that we found ourselves in this position where we're looking into the face of reality, that we were unable to defend from the Caucasoid because they had more superior weaponry than we had? That's why they were able to conquer us, innit? So, what are you going to do about that? So, the halter's already bolted, bruv. So, what do? You sit and you mope and you ask for reparations for it? For being conquered? or for being unable to defend your territory? Other people got to pay for that? Does it make any sense? Do you choose your battles or what? Or you try to fight impossible battles like that, where you have to depend upon people's mind and spirit to accept your claim and your plea for unfair treatment in a state where people were kicking your ass? You see what I'm saying to you? They had the weaponry. They had the know-how. It was just unfortunate for us that we didn't have the weaponry to. Now think about this. Had we the weaponry to match them, you think they could have come in and do what they did? They couldn't. So it was a fate, almost like the hand of fate stepped in to bring another situation in place on the planet Earth, which will diminish at some point when it's run its time. It's simple. So, because the time is not yet up for the barbarian, does it mean we're going to become more barbarian than the barbarian itself? Let me read this text. Still waiting for people to call in and tell me if the way that we treat women is correct and should we continue in those lines. As Reese even got... Oh, where's that? Okay. Where are we? What kind of thing this? If somebody today robbed you or cause, I can't see that text, you know. Why can't I see the rest of that text? Let's see. That's weird. Only half of the text came through, bruv. Sorry to say, I don't know why. I've only got like, if somebody today robbed you, if someone today robbed you or caused you harm, I see what I mean. So text sender 235 said, if someone today robbed you or caused you harm, what would you do? If somebody robbed me and I couldn't kick his ass, then I was like, what can I do? What am I going to do? Ask him to pay me? If a man broke into my house and I didn't bruck him up, right, or defend my things, what do you mean? If somebody come and robbed me, what would I do? I would defend myself. But if I'm unable to defend myself, who do I blame for that? Do I go and look for the man who kicked my ass and ask him for give me some of my money back? Or because I wasn't able to prevent him from kicking my ass? All right, what happened if we beat them all up? How about that? What would you say about that then? Would we be still asking for reparation? If we were to prevent the onslaught from the barbarian? But because we wasn't able to prevent it, not that we were cowards, we just didn't have the weaponry to stop them. So the hand of fate dealt us a dirty hand. Something, someone, or something allowed that event to take place. And the sooner we understand that in our thinking, we're more able then to apply correct thinking to a position that we never decided that we could look at and make sense of. You see? Simple as that. That's the way I see it. Text sender says, be honest, you would call the police. Yes, yeah, sorry, I thought you were talking about something else. If somebody, no, we're not after I try to kick his ass. I mean, this, come on. If I wasn't at home, I hope it don't happen, somebody broke into my yard and take up my things, I'd call the police, yes? Because I would have to have a crime number. If I didn't call the police and report it, I could probably make no insurance claim. If, say, you were insured, you wouldn't be able to make an insurance claim. And most of us are insured. But if I wasn't insured, what's the point calling the police? Because you're going to say, oh, well, yeah, you can call the police, you can report the crime, which would be the natural thing to do. Why wouldn't you report a crime? So what I don't understand the point that you're trying to make, text sender, because you got a text sender 235. What is your point that you're trying to make? It will be a natural process for me to involve the police because it is the natural and right thing to do. But I didn't think he was talking on that level. I thought he was talking on the level where I was unable, if I'm at home and somebody broke into my yard while I'm sitting there, and I didn't reach for a pipe, a piece of pipe, and deal with it. You know what I mean? That's what. So text sender says, so you would, police, so you would ask the mechanism in this society to get compensation. Text sender 235. It's a bit. You got. Said someone today rob you or cause you harm. What would you do? Be honest. You would call the police. See that's kind of a loaded question, because if somebody robbed me and did me harm, that would simply mean that I was unable to defend myself. If somebody robbed me and tried to do me harm and I kicked his ass, what would equally ask you the question? If somebody robbed you and you kicked his ass, what would you do then? Would you still go tell the police? Oh, not even that. What would you do? I'm going to ask you the question without even preempting it. You see, you ask me that question. I'm not going to answer a question with a question, but I just wanted to know where you were coming from with this, because you go ahead and say you would call the police. So you would ask the mechanism, said I think you got to retype that again, in this society to get, unless you said, so you would use the mechanism then. I assume that's what you're trying to say, in this society to gain compensation. Yes, but yes, yeah. Hold on, one sec, text sender. Okay, the text sender 235 says you use the mechanism in this society to get compensation. So you would use the mechanism in this society to get compensation. But you know, who said you're going to be? If somebody robbed you in this society, who said you're going to get any compensation? You can get compensation from the police board. You're not even sure of getting that. So nobody's going to pay you in any case. You can get compensation. You might be entitled to compensation from the criminal board. But if somebody robbed you of your goods and you weren't insured, nobody's going to pay compensation. That doesn't happen. You see, if somebody robbed you and did you harm, that means I was unable to defend myself. Because if somebody tried to rob me and I bust him up or brack it up and then robbed him instead, to take away what he's got, he come to rob me, I end up robbing him, right, and kicking him out the door and brack him up and everything like that, I'd call the police to lock him up. But I'm not going to call the police to compensate me for being or for attempt robbery. You got to work both ways. It shouldn't be just the fact that I've been robbed. If it was attempted robbery on me, I should be able to do the same thing, calling the police and get compensation both ways. You see, but I still, I'm at like confusion about this question. 236 says compensation or justice. Even 235 says compensation or justice. What do you mean? I don't understand this kind of thinking. Compensation or justice for being robbed? What kind of compensation can society give me? For me, what kind of justice can society give me for somebody coming in my house and robbing me and I don't catch the brother? If I catch the brother or persons that are involved, and then police got him, give him to the police, and then I would look justice from the courts then. If I catch him. Before I broke him up, after I broke him up, then I call the police. Broke a leg or two, then I'll call the police, innit? If I call the police, and then he goes to court and the courts, I'll be looking for justice, yes. if they caught the criminal. But if they didn't catch the criminal, what kind of justice can I expect? You see, because that question don't make sense to me. What you're trying to say, I know what you're trying to say, that the Africans were robbed and harmed, and so we must go to their courts for justice and compensate. No. Look what you're saying. Just listen to what you're trying to say. We've been robbed 500 years ago, right? Whoever listened to that Maccabee tune is trying to make a claim. They want to make a claim. Remember the tune there? I would advise you to listen to Maccabee, because he's made a song about that, and I think it's very funny. When he phoned the solicitor, and the phone rang in the song and said, hello. It goes, hello. He said, I want to make a claim. She said, yes. Yes, I've been robbed, and I've been abused, and I've been this, and I've been that. And she said, oh, we think we can help you. Right. How long ago was this? 500 years ago. And you hear the phone go, you get the gist of the story. You get the gist of the story. Are we afraid to look at the truth here? Come on. And this is all in line with our thinking, because I'm not trying to bring another topic in. And I'm still waiting for people to call in and tell me no one's really called in and tell, apart from Reese, to say how we should treat a woman. I'm asked that question, and it seems like there's a mute on it. If we fall in the same rogue and foul-mouthed vagabonds of America in talking about our women in such disrespectful fashion, do we do the same? But back to this, I was showing you the difference, the balance here. We're talking about something that happened 500 years ago, and we're still making claim, because we're saying now that the descendants are still benefiting from their conquering. So they're bloody lucky, you know. Yeah, well, if they're still benefiting from their conquering, well, they must have conquered some. They must have got lucky then. They got lucky, because they can't go around and conquer again like they did back in the day, because every country now got weaponry now. Missiles pointing at them, you know, because they went and sold people missiles now. So if they were going to try and go reconquer Africa in the same way like that, they buck up on some missile, innit? Or some other countries that align won't allow that to happen again. Alliance of different countries. They've got the AU, you know, Africa's got armies and borders, and you've got military stuff and thing like that. You've got 54 states with all their military intact. So European would have a hard time. As I said, they just got lucky at the time. We still had spears and arrows. You see what I'm saying? And we weren't thinking in terms of building up, because we never we were in a safe area in any case. We weren't really expecting people to go around and kicking people's ass and stealing their country like that. And it's not even really stealing, but conquering. Conquering is conquering. How did we conquer the Mediterranean? Did we use tiddlywinks? Did we play drafts, or did we carry candy floss? Did we hit them over the head with a toffee apple? Pung! Come on. Or a candy floss? I mean, when we went to conquer the Greeks, how do you think we conquered them? Tickle them with a feather? Tickle them to death with a tickling stick? Is that what we did? To how our conquering is as different from anybody else's conquering? Because we try to keep that out of the limelight, that we didn't conquer anyone. And we can't say it's karma, it's our turn, because we get our ass kicked because we conquered and kicked people's ass. We can't see that though. Ooh, it's touchy subject there. Ooh, Heru. Ooh, you can't say that. Ooh, Heru, stop it. You're uncovering a can of worms there. Stop it. Because karma, we can't talk about karma now, mate. We're trying to make our claim. You see what I'm saying to you? You see how it goes? And this is why you get the clear thinking when you have awakened your Auxerre faculty. You can see the contradictions in life, can't you? You see? But that's for a different show. But I'm just trying to get some consensus on the fact of how we treat our women, and is it all right to speak to our women in such derogatory terms, talking about their private parts in P and this damn thing there. And you know what I mean? Look at nastiness. Some of them don't. You wonder if some of these people have mothers. And if they did, they probably beat them up as well, ain't they? For you to just come out and talk about a woman private parts like that. And then next time you try, maybe because you got, see, this is what I'm saying, this is where the Batman thing come in now. Because you disrespect the women's private parts, you're doing that so it enable you to go and look at a man's backside as attractive. Enough of these youths now are wearing their trousers down to their backside, and this is why. Because why? Because we do think there's no morals anymore. We're going for the barbarian thing now. We've done with morals now. Because it didn't help us in the beginning, because we got our ass kicked. We're going to become barbarian now. And this is what's happening. Fast happening today. You see what I'm saying? You got some renegade Africans that got kicked out of Africa, right? Are coming to Europe now and join these little diasporan groups about liberation and become the foundation of that liberation. Try and get them back into Africa so they can have a Trojan horse. You see? This is what's happening, the Trojan horse type of mindset for these renegade Africans from the motherland that are being kicked out, dissidences, political dissidences, kicked out of Africa and using us to get back into there, using us as a Trojan horse. And the little diasporans are readily to open their mouth and arms, oh, Africa, Africa, because they're so mesmerized Africa that they overshoot the runway and they over egg the pudding. You see, is that better? That sounds a bit better, doesn't it? So the renegade Africans from the motherland using the diasporans as a Trojan horse, and they don't know this because the diasporans not being imbued with any wisdom. You see, had they kept their morality and kept their respect, they would have been able to suss out these little renegades that are trying to use them as a Trojan horse to get back into Africa at the very people that kicked them out in the first place. You see? Because I don't understand them, the diasporans not going and asking Africa for reparation and going to ask Africans, where's our land? You can't be asking Europeans for the land. Go and ask your brother. Go and ask the AU. Go and ask Africans, where's our land, mate? What happened? Did you take our land from us or what? Did you kick us out of Africa or what? And the only people that I think that can answer that questions is the Africans themselves. Yes, yes. You know what I mean? To me, that's the only true people. Let me read this text. Sorry, bro. Genesis Radio promotes the same kind of woman denigration you complain about. Listen to the music you play, dance at home, and all that. Well, I don't own Genesis. Why are you trying to put that on me? I'm not the owner of Genesis. I'm only a presenter here, and I have to hold my corner. At least you know what Heru's about. Regardless of what anyone else is about, you know what. There's a little respite with Heru. I'm not going to follow suit. If somebody wants to swear on their show and go on with all kind of mannerism of barbarianism, even if the governor thinks that's the way forward, that's fine. But I ain't joining in that church. No way would you hear me cussing any bad word. You know, we're not going to have an argument on what is a bad word. But I don't think that's good morals to do something like that. And I know the music that sometimes you hear, this is the mix and matching thing that I always spoke about in all honesty. You see what I'm saying to you? I know that you're live on Genesis. Nicole, you're live.
Genesis.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? I don't even know if you can hear the people and can hear the phone calls clearly, you know.
You can't hear the phones clearly. I know. I don't know. I realise that. I can hear it muffled. But I don't know, we've got a new connection here, and I think it's this connection that's giving the problems, you know what I mean? When I usually pull out that connection, then I could hear the line clearly, but because when I pull it out, the phone goes dead, it means that it's been altered in some way, and I just have to make do. You know, I'm sorry about the quality, but that's the way we can't do nothing about. I can't do anything about that at the moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, it spoils your It spoils your listening. I know it spoils your listening. It's really annoying. It's very annoying for me.
You know what?
Huh?
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
What I'm about to say may be considered as controversial.
Yeah.
But I think that other people were totally spelled out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep. Totally spelled out. The Africa program and the Back to Africa program was spelled, bro.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's a spell that's been put and been given to us by most of our most prominent leaders.
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
I tell you the truth.
I agree, bro.
I tell you the truth. Well, I tell you the truth. That's the level of cowardice happening right now, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I see plenty of people from the Indies, from the West,
Yeah.
from the islands of America. Well, they're running from their problems from those areas and running to Africa.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
You got a place like Jamaica right now, which enough of these people come from. You understand? Going through some terrible situation where the people are starving.
Yeah.
The government is looking to sell out the people then by January of 2019 with this national identification system. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, one country in the world is operating that system, the NIC system. Yeah, one country, some little island called Maldives, somewhere in the Indian Ocean. They are the only country in the world that's got this NIC system that Jamaica is intending to bring in on their people.
Really?
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I.
Well, as an example, the Jamaican government is bringing in the so-called New World Order faster than anybody.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah, man.
The amount of deaths, what they got going on over there, the killings and everything that's going on over there, and these people are talking about, look, I'm African. And got all of their focus on Africa. I think it's a level of cowardice, bro.
Yes.
And I think that this needs to be addressed.
True. And you know what, caller? I couldn't agree.
You understand?
Yeah, man.
No, I'm talking about the Black Panther issue.
Yeah.
I want to also talk about the Black Panther movie. I ain't even seen that movie, but I know exactly what's about. It's more spells.
Yeah.
More African and American islands. Yes. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, listen to me, bro. Right now, when you're talking about how men treat their women and where, you can stay there. You understand? And talk about slavery. You understand? And the raping. Some of them was consensual.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you, bro?
Yeah, man. What do you mean?
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
Some of them things there was consensual.
Yes.
And though the so-called massa never acknowledged this so-called woman with a car at that time, we don't recognize that, but they make sure that they put them in certain positions, innit? In the house, innit? Put them in certain positions of power over the rest of the people, then.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we can stay there being tricked and believe the illusion about everything was rape. Just like nowadays, nothing is consensual. What makes you think that something wasn't consensual then?
For real.
You understand what I'm saying to you, bro?
Yeah, man. Very much.
Now, my thing is this, yeah? Well, when I talk about we like one people, and yes, we are one people. However, how comes the Jews is allowed to separate himself from the rest of the white people. How comes? And it's expected.
Yeah.
But we must get tired and lump up. Huh? I'm not having it, bro.
True. I do understand.
Well, and I just wish this conversation was clear, because any questions I can come.
Yes.
Our most prominent leader, a left-back, a red-back, down slavery, our most prominent leaders. Got us looking left, when we should be looking right.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
They got them looking for a mythical place. Now. Black Panther. You understand? Yeah? The place called Wakanda.
Yes.
And people is talking about it's a fictional place and it's mythical and it's rare. We even got African countries then actually looking for Wakanda in their country. Hello, wake up, people. Wakanda is a real place. And it's in the USA.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, man.
It's national parks. They've got whole of things. It's down in Wisconsin. And it's actual native American lands. You understand?
Indeed.
So they've got everybody looking over there. Well, another thing. A Black Panther is not called a Black Panther in Africa.
No.
A melanated leopard is not called a Black Panther.
That's right.
And that's all a Black Panther is, a melanated leopard. They
Yes.
don't call them panthers in Africa. They do call them panthers in America, though.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
The melanated jaguar is the Black Panther in America. You understand? So what people need to do is wake up, bro.
Yeah.
A black man, bro.
For real. And I wish it was
That's
clear.
what I'm doing, bro. That's what I'm going to be coming with, bro.
Yeah, man. All the time. Because I wish it was clear enough. Because
What?
I wish it was clearer so people could really hear what you're saying, you know. It's very important, bro.
I would love for people to hear it.
Yeah, man. Carl,
You're lucky. Well, if I didn't know, I might have slipped in. Because I've had enough of it now, bro.
yes.
I've had enough.
Yes. For real. And I want you to call back.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, man. Then on my next show, I want you to call back, brother. You can repeat all of that. I'll give you the.
I'm going to repeat it, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
gonna
Yeah.
repeat it.
You have to. You have to.
Well, you know the most ridiculous thing, right? One of the most ridiculous things, right? Right? Is the women were waiting for the man them to get up and fight, right?
Yeah.
And the man them are also waiting for the women them to defend themselves against these transvestites, bro. How can they allow a man to be named Woman of the Year and without a scoop?
Out of
How
order.
does that work, bro?
Out of order, bro. Out of order.
Well, with that,
Dis-
please.
Disrespect. You see? The morals are gone.
With that, gone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Enough respect, brethren. Enough respect.
All right.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that caller. That was a good, brilliant call. I wish you could have heard it. I know the lines are playing up, but it's not my fault. Yeah, man. Respect. Bless up, caller.
We're going to see, man. I can take any questions on that. No problem, man. We'll do a show on that.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Respect. All right.
All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, there you are. That was a wonderful call there from the last caller there, folks. I wish you could have heard that. I don't know if many of you made it out, because the lines are really bad and it's not my fault. I don't know. The connections here are different. I just like to make you know that. It's not my fault. But if those of you who are able to hear, you would hear that it's similar to what I've been expressing for the longest of time. Like I'm trying to express now. Clarity, not confusion, twice confounded, you see. Because plenty of us have this, the cart before the horse type of thinking. And again, it's proof of my spirituality. It's proof of me awakening my faculty, that I could see the contradictions in life, you see. and I'm able to see the contradictions in life, that I'm able to make these assertions about life and say to them that you ain't seen this thing clearly, because you're looking through a glass dimly. You see what I'm saying? So plagiarize that one. You know what I mean? So we're at that position where we lack knowledge. We don't have intellectual appreciation. We have an intellectual appreciation of our condition, but that doesn't mean that we're knowledgeable. You know, we are at that point where you have, as he said about the Jews are able to separate themselves from the rest of the Europeans, you see, and the Caucasoid Jew, the melanin recessive one, is the most aggressive of the rest of the melanin recessive albino type people, and it's the albine race at the moment that's conquering the world. So no big thing. There's their time to rule. The melanated people ruled for a very long time. We're just having a little respite. You know, it's always sit back and have a laugh. Look, and they are already exhausted already. You see, they're tired. You know, they were able to take over the world because of the switch over with instruments and weaponry at the time. We weren't using spears and all that. If they came over to us with spears, you think they would have won that war? No, they wouldn't have been able to beat us with our spears. But that was a time. That was the time that it was in 18th century. You couldn't see me walking around with an AK-47 in the 18th century now, could you? You know, it was a one pop. You know, they had back in them days. They never had no AK-4 or Kalashnikov or what you call it there. You know, in those days, we never had none of those things. Had we? I mean, look at the Indians when they were fighting in the 14th and 15th century. Maybe less than that. No, 18th century. Yes. They were able to get their little rifles off of them brethren. Some of them, they were sold rifles, and they were able to, you know, but they never had that gun that can spit about 15 rounds per minute. So that was the age of Pisces, was the age of innovations for the Caucasoids. They're conquering time, and even before that, living in Rome at the time. You know what I mean? When Rome was in existence. And they ruled, but every dog has its day in the sun. That's also a human thing. Let's not allow people to muddy the waters for us, so we can and blur the lines, so we can't have a clear, foolish understanding of these things. You know, people can wind us up about our position and our existence. You see, so we're quite clear on the subject. If you got your ass kicked, and the text sender was trying to come out with a question. And yeah, he wasn't. I know what he was trying to say. He was trying to say, what would you do if somebody robbed you and beat you up? Wouldn't I go to the courts for that don't make an ounce of sense. If somebody robbed me and beat me up, that means I wasn't able. I was there. Is it because they robbed me and beat me up? They come and rob my brother or beat my brother. Wouldn't have beaten me up unless he was at my house at the time when the robbery took place. But if I wasn't at the house and he beat my brother up, or beat up my family or something like that, and robbed them, I could have said, you've done it. I could look at it like, you've done it to me because you've done it to them. That would be an ideology. But in reality, I wasn't there, but true, they were there. And so I would have then, if you ask me, if I would gone to the courts and say, look, my brother has been robbed, my family's been robbed, and that's been stolen from them, what are you going to do about it? You know, I don't understand the logic. What do you expect to be done? You know, I don't know what they're expecting to be done. Text sender says, 581 says, we need to focus on ourselves, but they are not ready. For real. They're not ready for that. because they're able to take our minds away from the important things like how we treat our women. And up to now, I haven't heard anybody calling in and saying that they agree to the derogatory way that we address our women today, and they expect that to be the order of the day. I haven't heard anyone phone in and say this yet. Neither have anybody phone in and agree with the way that we talk to each other, the filthy, foul-mouthed languages that should be used, and that is a way forward. I haven't heard anyone agree on this yet. So why? It's like we're hiding the truth. Or is it only just a handful of people agree with some of the American renegades? Some of these black, filthy-mouthed Americans over there who've got no respect for dog, rat, cat, or anything. No morals, no scruples. Just the more rogue and the more vagabond than the barbarians themselves. You don't see it. And that's why I haven't heard anything from them. Because I think the people here are covering up something here. You know what I mean? I think that you usually are hiding something. You may secretly agree with the notion that women should not be on a pedestal, but I haven't heard the UK opinion. I've heard the American opinion, and it's not very good. It's filthy. But at least they can come out and they will say to you, and people will come on the chat and they will say, and they're not afraid to to voice their opinion, which you've got to give them respect for. And if a black woman as pretty as I saw the other day, with a long hair, pretty, and saying that black women not supposed to be on a pedestal, they're supposed to be subservient to man, and they're not gods. And I'm thinking, but you're coming from a place of the only reason why you could say that as a black woman, because when you're from the place that you're coming from, right, you never needed to be put on a pedestal because you were already on one by our men. Because you had if you study the Kentake, the ancient Ethiopian Kushite social organization, where the women put the men on the throne. You had Paenki, who was installed by he had the teachings of his mother, not his bloody father, his mother. You see, because the women were the carriers of the secret of the tribe, and then because through their line, that's why the white one was able to rape his way and put his mulatto child on the throne, because he was able to impregnate the black woman, and they knew that their lineage was done through the woman. You see, as a man can't get pregnant, crafty old tough grey back man can't get pregnant. Thank God for that. And so you find that they were able to rape their way through and put their mulatto child, who suddenly realized that the father didn't really like him. He just held him just above the black, the poorest black, but not enough to rise him to the position of his albino father. So the albino them get really bad. They get wild now. Back in the day, coming from a time of subserviency, when their parents were under the oppression of the melanated man. How about that? And you wonder why we got our ass kicked. And you cannot explain, I keep saying it, you cannot explain that to me. Yet you run up on the mouth like, all the big talk about what it should be and what it shouldn't be. But you lot cannot explain the fact that you lot got your ass, that we got our ass kicked. And there's no shame in saying that. Right? I'm not looking for I ain't looking for any compensation for getting my ass kicked. Again, answering the question, the text sender, what would you do if somebody came and beat you up and robbed you Would you go to the courts for compensation? Well, I may go, but I ain't going to get nothing. What can I go and tell the judge? Oh, judge, he beat me up. Remember like the boys at school who bullies? And if you didn't have to fight, and even if you got defeated, the bully would look at you and say, at least you fight, innit? But we fought. We never sat down and lie down and take it. We fight. We fought, and we fought till we can't fight no more. They've been knocking at our door for thousands and thousands and thousands of. If somebody continually knock at your door for 1,000 years, it would have come off the hinges quick. You see? And we've got to get this picture. You know, I don't know what this kind of idea that these diasporans. That's what I said to you. I don't take anything from traumatized people. I don't follow ideas from traumatized people. It's like me going to Moseley and asking them for directions, bruv. It's like me going to Moseley to recruit an army. You wouldn't do that. It's no disrespectful to not disrespecting the inmates of Moseley. And I know because what they're in there for is a very serious thing, and I'm not making light of the fact that they have problems, and I understand that. Maybe I shouldn't even use them as an example, but all I wanted to do is just point out the seriousness that they know that a lot of people go to these places voluntary because they feel they're losing it, and we are glad that we have a place where people can go if they feel that way. And I feel for those kind of people. It really hurts me to see them like that. You see, seriously. I feel sorry. I feel like crying when I see people that are mentally ill. That's why I said I want to see them dragged from pillar to post by some of these little hepped up diasporan, which they need themselves to be felt sorry for too. And I do actually feel for them. But what it is with the diasporan, he's got to be very careful that he doesn't become authoritative in his ambition to answer questions which he's thinking he cannot get his head around, and in so doing he may come up with some harebrained ideas about himself. You see, that doesn't match up to reality. And if we are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome, there's ought to be bare methods of healing going on here. We shouldn't be talking about Africa. We shouldn't be talking about the political nest. We shouldn't be concerned about that at the moment. Our concern should be about how the hell to get better. And when I get better, I can then take on these things. I cannot take on these things in my present state because otherwise we've got what we got in it. Look at the mishmash of ideas and crap that's beholding our community for the last 40 odd years, and there's going to be no change because why? We're putting the cart before the horse. We are allowing know-nothing people to influence us. We're allowing the same people for ourselves that are troubled in our thinking and that are hurt making decisions for us. We can't go on like that. We can't have hurt people making decisions for us. No way. Well, you can make it for you, but definitely not me not listening to them. You know? I hear them every day on the radio. And do I listen to them? I said, I kiss my teeth off of them. Jokers, I say. Jokers. Then who are you then, Heru? But I'm coming from the organic frame of reference, the tree of life. And if you listen to my program every week, then you'll see where I'm coming from. It's a different kettle of fish. I'm not overtly concerned about blackness. I keep telling you, I'm not overtly concerned about the blackness or Africanness. That's why I said it's different. I'm trying to heal. And I can't be doing all that at the same time as I'm trying to heal. You keep reopening my wound, innit? You know what I mean? You keep reopening the wounds. Every time a scab grows over it, these people just rip it open again and again and again and again. A putrefying sore that cannot be healed. That's all they've given me for the last 45 years, 50 years. A putrefying sore that not even they can heal. You see, not even they can heal. Help me, God. you know. Sorry for the drama, but no, but it's true. Not even they can heal. They won't even allow the soul to heal. The natural healing process. You see? And every time you open your mind to these people, they are reopening your wound with a knife. Stand there with the blood dripping of just opened your wound again for you. How about that? Come here and get salvation, and whoop, your wound is open again. You see? How are you going to get it to heal? I just don't know. Because at the end of the day, I'm for healing. I know where to go for healing. Do you? You want to come along? You can. Texender says, Heru, it's rigs up. Oh, right on, bro. I will be back with you. Just 2 seconds.
If you use your phone while you're driving and it's not hands-free, the penalty's been doubled. It's now 6 points and £200. The trouble is, a lot of us are addicted to our phones. So try this trick. Put your phone somewhere where you can't pick it up. Somewhere you can't see it. The glove compartment. That way, you won't be tempted. Save yourself 6 points and £200. Maybe even save a life. Make the glove compartment the phone compartment. Think. Put your phone away.
DK in conjunction with livelinky.com presents South Sensual, happening 10th of March at Crystal's Nightclub, 23 Lewisham Way, London. SE14 6PP. South Central is an entertaining night of fun. It's sensual, sexy, classy, but not seedy. 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. Doors close 2:30 a.m. Music by Special Selections and the Mix Masters. Also on the night, erotic poetry by Natural Right and Ann Summers by Rasta Jade. Entry £15 all night.
Okay, yeah, we're coming to near the end of the show. Next presenter's in the house, DJ Riggs in the house, gonna take you through to the late evening with his wonderful selection of music. DJ Riggs coming up in the house and sharpening up. I love the man show. The man got some real good music. I always love listening to DJ Riggs, you know. So saddle up. We're going to finish the last, what time is it now? Last 5:48 and counting. So we got, we ain't got long left here. And so the whole thing is, I hope it makes sense to you. The way we treat our women. You see, the thing is, we can't blame ourselves, some of us, for some of the things that we did back in the day with women. Because we were influenced by the Caucasoid society in any case, when we didn't know what relationships was, back in, you think about it, nobody really knew. As a young man, we went to parties, and we were hunting in the dance, that's what we grew up on, We see a woman, and she looks sexy. We don't know nothing else. We didn't no initiation program for us to know that we reach puberty and we can get her pregnant and things like that. All we see is just a pair of legs, and boobs. This is what we grow up to look at a woman like. And if the Europeans were that clever, we would have come up with respect for the woman, not disrespect. And when we have a lot of relationships, right, it's because we know nothing else. You have relationships after relationships. If you can count on your hand the amount of relationships that you've had, because we will indulge, because we're not gay. You know what I mean? We will indulge with women. Women is what we indulge with. We're woman, different from man. Man, you know what I'm saying? And we're not going to mix our metaphors like that and begin to fancy our brethren. We can't do that. You look upon a tough greyback man, if you've got any sexual feelings towards a tough old greyback man. How can you get that? I wonder. But You see, and we never know how to treat our women back in the day. We just saw them as a sex object. I'm sorry to say, I can be the first to admit that. And for me, it was just about getting women in it, like it was for a lot of young people in them days. You go to a party, you dance up with a woman. You know what I mean? You think, raw, I'm going to go on with this woman tonight. You know what I mean? Everybody done that. There was no plan to say, listen, I'm now aged 16 and 17. And I'm a man, and you got to look after a woman. Nobody did that. We went from woman to woman to woman to woman. Because this is what the European society taught us to do. Hunting. We were like a hunter. You know, you don't care how dark the place is. You can spot them out in the dark. You can be in a corner. I say, all right, which woman am I going to dance with now? You can scan the whole place in the night dark, and you can say, all right, see one over there. So she ain't even moving. She looks good because she's moving properly. And you can work your way around to that corner nice and neatly, and nobody would notice until you get there, innit? Then you meet them, you dance, you take a phone number, and then you eventually meet up with them. Then you might even have babies with them. Then you thought, oh, it's not good. Now you broke up and you're gone. You know what I mean? That wasn't us. We can't blame us for that. You can't blame yourself for that. Because that's what the European society was teaching you. To have that kind of respect for women. There's no puberty thing going on here where we can get circumcised at a certain age where you say, right, you're at that age now, you've got to be very careful because you can breed up the woman. Nobody ever told us that. You know what I mean? We just buck upon it. Some fathers were, like in my age, I was 21 before I had my first child. How about that? 21. So those of you who thought I was promiscuous, you got it wrong. And I had my first child in wedlock. How about that? My first two children in wedlock. I was doing the right thing. I went to college as well. So how about that? So I had respect. My first child in wedlock. My first two children at the age of 21. Yeah? See, and I had no other child but them two, and I was married. So I did the right thing. So you can't tell me nothing. What can you tell me? And someone don't know that. But then, you know, we live and learn, and we have experiments, and we live and learn. You see what I say? And so we don't blame ourselves for our experience. We had nobody to instruct us. We had to learn by a default, and this is exactly what we did. So who's going to turn around and blame us? You know, the culture should be blamed because the culture don't have nothing in it to teach us about these things. The text sender say, the way we treat each other is because we have been taught everything from an enslaved point of view. And until you can break that spell, there will be no changes. If you personally treat people respectfully, what else can you do? No sense moaning when the enslaved mind knows no better. Exactly. My sentiments. Exactly. Thank you for that text sender, 581. Yeah, it's true. Don't blame ourselves. I'm not saying we should blame ourselves. We got to do better now. In our old age, we're supposed to pass down knowledge to our descendants and then let them have respect for their women, not to use them as a tool. So when I hear people in this day and age speaking about women with that kind of a gutter, nastiness way, I thought these are demons from hell that have come back in this time to prove that to talk about women so derogatory is the way forward, you see. These demons from hell has broken loose. Text sender says, sorry, but ratchet mentality, male or female, got no respect. Well, this is what I'm saying. We've got to sort that out then, innit? Ratchet mentality. Well, this is what I'm saying to you. We've got to get to the point where we've got to realise that none of us are really to blame. The first thing we've got to do, we can forgive each other, can't we? I can forgive, but some women ain't going to forgive a man because they have more than one woman. You see what I'm saying to you? They can't forgive the men, them. And the men can't forgive the women, them, for perhaps being unfaithful. Give them bon and thing. But bon and cheese. But let me see. Text sender 81 says, we are a ratchet to each other right now. This is the whole thing. We are a ratchet to each other. So if you want to sort it out. Got 5 minutes left before I end my show. I'm going to end it with this. You see, listen to my show with them, yeah? And then during the week, from 10 till 2. Sometimes I don't get there till 10:30, but you know what I mean? I'm trying. I'm old now, you know. I'm a Zimmer frame man now, you know what I mean? So you got to forgive me. I will get up. So from 10, I won't be there tomorrow. I'll be there on Tuesday. If you listen to my show on Tuesday, I won't be there tomorrow. Well, I shouldn't be there tomorrow. If you see me, you'll see me. If not, you know, if I can, just tune in anyway. If I can, if I don't see me here by about 11 o'clock, then you know definitely that Heru ain't coming in. See, but I might have something to do. Text sender says, we forgive too much, like we are Jesus. Well, what's the alternative then? If we don't forgive, we're going to beat each other up? No. You got to forgive. If Jesus forgives, yeah, we forgive. We don't care if Jesus forgave. We've got to forgive. What do you want us to do then? Kick each other's ass? That ain't the answer, is it? The answer is in forgiveness. Let's start all over again. And it's down to us. It's in our hands. You see? So I've come to the end of our show, folks. It's 5:56 and counting. I hope it's been informative. I know the lines ain't been very good. I hope the engineers will sort that out at some point. But as you know, it is what it is. I couldn't do any better. It's a pity because some of the calls were very good, and the text is what we've been reading out. Thank you for texting in. You partook in the texts. Very, very good discussion. And still, it ended with nobody really actually agreeing that the way we talk to women is right, is correct, and derogatory, and we have to look at them as our footstool, as some men think that they're better than women. You see what I'm saying? The women them didn't even call in. And I thought to myself, wow, maybe they're holding back this time round, but maybe the next time. But we'll have this discussion. But you understand where I'm coming from. Quickly read the last text. Text sender says, fantasy we deal with. It's true. We live in a world of fantasy, you know what I mean? Oh, God, last text. Come on. This is the last text. I'm going to be reading that, yeah? So don't send any more. Yeah, nothing serious. Yeah, that's true. Nothing serious. We got to get serious, folks. And 5:58. But so tune into my show on Tuesday. And even tomorrow, if I'm here, I'll be here by 11 anyway. Yes. If I'm not going to be in, then I'll know. But if not, I'll definitely be here Tuesday onwards. And so, tune in and see whether we can build a consensus and have these discussions without the hatred and the disrespect of ourselves. First thing we have to do is respect ourselves. And I don't think talking in with a foul mouth, disrespectful way is about the way we're going to go. No way. It's not going to be like that. Foul mouth and disrespectful. You dissed who they always defend. Trams. Oh God. Well, that's that, folks. And it's a wonderful thing that we can have discussions without the hatred and thing like that. So as I say to you, hope you stay tuned to DJ Riggs coming in now with a wonderful session, beautiful music, bring you into that zone, and stick with Genesis all the way through the night until tomorrow morning, 24/7, because that's where we are. You know, we try to educate and we try to entertain all at the same time, because that's what we're about. Knowledge, and we rise in knowledge and rise in understanding, and so we want you to come along on board and see whether we can make a good go at this, and as per usual, make an understanding for our children, so the children won't grow up with them nasty, dirty talk, filthy language, think that's the way we've got to talk to each other. No way. You know what I mean? I stand foursquare on that. Anyway, there's only one thing left for me to say, and that is what I always say, and that is, this is Heru saying, I am out.